This is serious.
Stop it.
Serious. This is serious.
Hit
This dude came
me.
out you came out with the full Lakers background. This dude is not playing on my channel. I don't even
Dog,
like this.
what you mean? Like,
Background.
come on. Come
This dude
on.
not playing. You
Not
came
at all.
out with a full background. I'm not even mad at you. That's love. Wow. Wow. This
Lakers,
dude
man.
came
I'm a
with a
Lakers
full
fan through
background.
and through, bro.
You gotta say, I don't gotta ask no questions. Damn. Congratulations. There you go.
Hey, man.
Congratulations
I
on the
appreciate it.
success.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, bro. How
I'm
are you, man?
feeling fantastic. And just to hold on, let me get something serious popping. Let me do a real introduction. Sorry for moving around
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no worries, no worries. I'm trying to like slow down and like stop sweating. So
Take your
I know
time,
like
bro. Like, I'm trying to do the
I know
same.
you're recording right now. My
I'm
joint,
trying to do the same.
I'm
Let me do
over
a quick
here.
introduction while you take the sway. When you take the sword off, this is my good brother Ish. You know, I think more just like myself, he's a dreamer, an aspirer, someone who wants to do something that impacts people, and I think creates a vibe and a force in the world. I think I've always seen you as someone who just, while you're an aspiring DJ and an aspiring creative as well, you're almost like even more so seriously involved in being a better man, like aspiring to be a better man in all things, a better brother, a better son, a better partner, a better friend. Like that's how I see you. Like this aspirational human being more so than anything else. And the creativity is just an extension of that. I just want to say that to start things off, and we can get back to the Lakers in the background. But I just think
Yeah.
that, like that's why we, when we were discussing, I told you I wanted you on the show, just because I want people to see the process. As a person, I'm more drawn to the person who's in the process of getting to the place that they're trying to get to. That passion, that raw intensity, that wanting to be there, that still reaching, I think is even more relatable and more valuable than the person that's already actualized. We often hear a lot of stories of like, I'm such and such person. I'm the Lakers. I'm LeBron. I already made it. I got the championship, but nobody wants to see the process of getting there, the grinding, the reps, the days in the gym, the 10 years or 20 years of practicing to get to the moment. I'm interested in all those moments and the championship as well. But like, I think it's the moments beforehand that we all can relate to a bit stronger. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I really wanted to get to with you, man. So how are you doing?
I'm good, bro. Honestly, thank you. That is a lot. I'm one of those types of people that it's really hard to hear things about myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it always makes me feel like, I don't know, man, like all mushy inside. Like, I'm
I
just
think
like,
everybody's that way. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, cause you don't know, if what you're actually like striving for, yearning for, aspiring towards is actually being seen. You know what I mean? And thankful to the good brother Joshua for connecting us. You know what I mean? And it's been honestly, for me, what I look towards, you know what I mean, and a brother like yourself is, how straight to the point you are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a West Indies thing. I don't know if that's a Jamaican thing. I don't know if that's a New York thing. I don't know, but I relate to it because that is how I am as well. You know what I mean? Like my people, where we come from, very straight to the point, like, all right, what are we doing? And um, I think that background, it can help you understand things in a better way, because like coming from a background like that for myself, like, you know, I think about, the people that brought me into this world, right? My folks. And at every step of the the evolution that you see in front of you, it was like straight to the point. Like, all right, we're not gonna mince any words, we're just gonna tell you what it is. You know what I mean? And we're not gonna sugarcoat anything, we're just gonna tell you what it is. And I think that helps me put in context and in perspective, like, I'm not there's like, the world does not revolve around Ish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I recognize that fully, but I also understand that I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get mine. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna continue to thrive and be in a space, man, I am sweating, boy. I ran here, bro.
So what
I'm
you
over
were
here like,
you're just saying
woo,
all this deep shit, but I mean, it's like I'm getting it. It's like
yeah.
it's all right. You just came
I'm
from
just looking at myself, but like,
nah, you just being
yeah,
happy,
you
bro.
know,
Like keep going, keep going.
yeah, no, that's just, that's what it comes from, is like knowing, like having such a deep understanding of where you come from. You know what I mean? My parents never let me forget that. And, I come from an entire community that is proud of where they come from, and we, there's not a lot of like creatives in the East African world. Like it's starting to, like, I feel like our generation, like you started to see more people kind of like expressing themselves creatively, whether that was like through poetry, photography, music. um Traditionally, I felt like it was kind of coming from like a, oh, you sing, cool, so like you're gonna sing music from back home, like, and that's like totally accepted. Oh, you're a film director, you make movies, cool, that's awesome. But then it's like there's all these other different types of ways that you can get involved in the creative world that, like, I talked to Joshua, and he's telling me like, yeah, man, so you can do this in the background and you can do that like you can just be behind the scenes doing this. And I'm like, I never knew any of that growing up,
Yeah,
so
I think a lot of us
uh,
went through that process.
yeah, so it's for me, it's humbling to be able to, be in a space where others see your creative drive, they see the aspiration, they see the vision. Even if I don't fully have a vision like drawn out, they are down to like help me figure that out. You know what I mean? And it's a huge credit to you, you know what I mean, as a friend and as a brother. That's like every time we get on the phone, man, it's like 2.5 hour conversations about life and philosophy and like thinking through like what it means to be a creative and being a better man, and what it means to kind of show up, as all of these different identities, and being able to still stay focused on what your true purpose is, you know what I mean, your North Star, um,
So
is inspiring, man.
explain your aspirations and why that feeds into your purpose.
Man, I mean, I think
For as much
I
as you
think
can.
yeah, no, like I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like at the end of the day, man, all I care about is, did I leave this world better than how I found it? You know, um, that's a lesson that has been with me since I was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old. Like my father always used to tell me, like, man, in any situation, whether whoever it is, it doesn't matter whether you think that of them or the society thinks of them as like being good or bad. Like, I want you to always stay focused on the positive. Always think about like, what is it that you can take from any situation, any lesson, any like, you know, any friendship, people that come into your life. You know what I mean? A lot of people have come in and out of my life, right? Um, but like the one thing that I've always tried to maintain is like trying to pick the good parts out of those like nuggets of wisdom, those nuggets of like, oh, okay, like that's what that was meant to teach me. And then coming from a place of like gratitude in understanding that like that situation or that lesson, you were blessed to be able to experience it. You know what I mean? So you have to maintain like a sense of gratitude, even if it's like a super shitty situation, or like a life-changing or a life-altering situation that on its face value might be like, oh shit, like that's some really deep tough shit to get through. There's still a blessing because like we're still breathing, and like I had a mentor when I was in college that used to tell me like, you know um whatever tried to kill you hasn't succeeded yet,
Yep.
so keep going. And that's where I pour from. You know what I mean? My perspective on it is always trying to leave things better than how I found them. And then also like when we talk about like the aspirations piece, man, it's it's such a deep conversation for me to have, because it's like it's not just like a simple answer like, oh, my purpose in this world is to, um, you know I'm going to be a basketball player, or, oh yeah, I'm going to be in tech. You know what I mean? I'm going to be an engineer, right? Like my purpose is so much deeper than that for me. Um, and so I aspire towards what that North Star is ultimately, and like being able to um, share whatever gifts. Like I think that I was put on this earth to do two things: um, leave things how I found them, like or leave them better than how I found them, and then to ultimately be some form of a teacher, like something. I don't know. I've always like loved to read and learn, and like anytime I hear about something, I get excited and I want to share it. Um, I think that's where that comes from, you know, is being able to understand that that's the well from which I am pouring. And then everything else creatively kind of comes on top of that, right? So like as a poet, you know, being able to write and talk about my experiences in music, like being able, like there's community in music, you know what I mean? There's community in art, there's community in poetry, right? So how can I leave whatever it is that I'm going towards better than how I originally found it, and like ultimately respecting the essence of whatever that art is like how I try to approach things. And so yeah, does that make sense?
No, I definitely get it. I just want to be. I want more specificity, like be more specific. You know, give me some
Yeah.
examples. Give me some more.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit, like if we're talking specifics, bro, like I think of life as being like my life as being a hybrid, you know? Like I enjoy the aspiration of like working in corporate, right? To a degree, you know, I think that a big part of it for me is um growing up, that was kind of like, all right, job security, you know, upward mobility, being able to network with other folks. There was kind of just like that, right? And so in my full time, like working as a technical recruiter, like that's been a dream. You know what I mean? I didn't even realize, I just kind of fell into that role.
Yeah,
But I was like, that was the way that I was able to like doing all of the things and all of the like just thinking about all of the people that I represent, like being in a space like technical recruiting, I felt like I was able to make the largest impact, right? But then on the creative side of things, man, like I mentioned, you know, poetry and music, those are the two things. So it's like when I think about what my, you know, quintessential life looks like, you know, it's a mixture between the two worlds, and being able to like delve further into what that looks like, so that, you know, when people look at my life and they say, oh, like how did he move, what were the things that he did, um it's all encompassing. I don't like to be like formed into a box, or, you know, kind of cornered into a box. I really do enjoy being able to flex multiple skill sets, multiple networks, being able to just kind of connect the
stop it.
dots. You know what
Stop
I'm
it.
saying?
Stop it. Stop it. I'm stopping this. I'm stopping this conversation. I'm starting this over. Nope. Nope. I want to be very specific about this. Wipe your sweat
Okay.
up. See the Lakers in the background. This is my friend Ish. I really want to say this. I want to have a conversation about the feeling, the feeling of going through a moment of wanting to be actualized, of wanting to like grab a dream. Like that shit is supposed to be a powerful fucking longing, an emotion, a power. Almost, you should be talking to me about how you fall in like a love. You should be telling me like how it feels to be in love with Rahel the way you talk about your dream. You know what I mean? Like I know that shit is in there because we've had that conversation. I don't want this shit to be a resume. I really don't. And I've done this for other people, so don't think that you're special. Ish, you are one of the most like thoughtful, deep, like in tune people that I know. And I told you, like when we started, I want this to be the conversation about getting there. There's way more of us who are trying to get to the thing, get to the championship, get to the fucking LeBron James MVP of the finals moment, that are still in the gym, that are still practicing, that are still,
Right.
you know, trying to find the music that they love, that they want to share with other people, still trying to find the energy that they love, that they want to share with other people. A lot of us are still just trying to get there. And I think that's a way more relatable story than those that are already there. You know?
Yeah.
and that's like the ethos and the energy, the spirit of the conversation that I'm trying to like really pull out. And I know it's not an easy thing. That's why I think it's so important to have it. Like, tell me about you trying to be, and it's again, someone who wants to touch people, someone who wants to, you know, share your aspirations with the world, someone who wants that feeling, that East African feeling to be more of a widely spread, like, I don't know, have a wider spread resonance throughout society, whether it's in your communities or the larger world itself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear about that. I really do. I want to hear about that. Like, anybody can ask anybody about like their day to day. I want to talk about that essential shit. And it's funny because I'm learning it's way more difficult to have that conversation than it seems. It's really,
Yeah,
I find it hard
it
to
is.
get down to like, I find it hard to get down to like the true substance of things, because it's just like having a conversation sometimes with a stranger. That's the simple fact that we're being recorded. The conversation is not going to be the same if I just spoke. I picked up the phone and I called you. Just the fact that we had
You
to
know what,
like
that is
on
interesting. Yeah, and I was, you know, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about why, like, why that is. You know what I mean? And I think that when you're being recorded, you get like a sense of like, I don't want to say it's like stage fright, but that's kind of what it feels like.
I just feel like the
You know
whole
what I'm
world
saying?
watching when no one. You should feel like no one is.
Yeah, like it's like all eyes on you. You know what I mean? So like you gotta. It's and it's captured in a moment. It's captured in time. You know what I mean? So like, folks are gonna be able to look back on this. So, thank you. You know, because I do think that just because I know for me that I always want to come correct.
Of course.
Um, I always put like if somebody was to ask me like, hey Ish, like this is what I want you to go do, I'm gonna put pressure on myself to be able to like make sure that it is the absolute best experience possible. You know what I mean? You don't have to ask me to do it, you know, like it's just something that it's intrinsically like tied to who I am. You know what I'm
I've
saying?
had to move away from that myself personally. I had to get to the place where I realized that the energy and the intention is more purpose, even more like meaningful or purposeful than the execution. It's difficult, but it's like I've always been
Yeah.
the person who wants everything on the external side of things to be perfect, because I know it. I'm gonna hate it way more than anyone else is gonna hate it. I promise you. Every episode of this show, I've listened to more times than anyone else. You know what I mean? Period. I hate.
Right.
While I love each one of them and each conversation I've had, I am myself like, yo, I should have finished that sentence and I thought better. I should have this better. It's like that should have been better. The audio was trash over here. This one, I wish the videos was a 1080p. I wish I had a better set. You know, it's just like all those things are gonna stop the actual process. It's gonna stop the actual you doing the thing that you have to do to get to the place that you have to get to. We're all like, it's like again, even going back to the whole Lakers analogy, and congratulations again. It's like you could be LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and you still going to like your best day is only gonna be like 60%. You're gonna
Yeah.
still miss 40% of your shots. No matter what you do, like you could be the best categorically in whatever like realm of whatever you're doing, and you're gonna still have misses. You could be again a DJ. Every track that you put out, every spin that you have, every mixtape that you put, it's not gonna be flawless. It's about,
Right.
did everyone who was consuming that thing get enough of it that they understood the intention? You know, did they understood the vibe that you were trying to transmit? And that's all I've been trying to focus on myself, is like, did I execute on the vibe and the energy that I want to transmit? And the fucking missteps, half the time you're seeing them more than other people, and the other half
Right.
of the time, the people ain't gonna get it no matter how perfect
Yeah,
it
no,
is.
and that actually that's very valid, bro. Because like, unless you point it out, right? Like, because you know in your head like what that vision of like execution looks like. When there is misstep, it's up. Like, if you didn't call it out, folks would have thought that, oh, that's just naturally how it's supposed to go, right?
Exactly.
But when you call it out, then it becomes, oh, like I see what you're saying. You know what I mean? And for me personally, that's one of the areas that I've been like trying to get towards, is getting towards a place where it's less about the execution and the external and more about the intrinsic, like kind of like internal piece of like why you're doing it, right? So like, for example, like we talk about DJing, right? I have loved music since I can remember. I mean, my dad, we grew up listening to like everything from like UB40, Bob Marley. My dad was the first person to put me on to T.I. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're talking about an East African dad that like, you know, he had been in the country what 10 years, right? Still learning language, but like just got into like he got into trucks and into audio equipment. So like remember back in the day, bro, like back in the early 2000s, like if you didn't have a system that knocked, it was like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? And we used to roll in that joint, and that joint used to like you could hear it down the block. You know what I mean? And I just my love for music, I think, started there. And I think I had always known that I wanted to get into DJing, but either had been too scared or was not sure that I could actually go out there and do it, right? And then finally it got to a point where I was just like, yo, you know, like if it sucks, it sucks, but what if it is great? You know what I mean? Like what if it's a vibe? You know what I mean? You don't know unless you try it. You know what I'm saying? And I I remember the first party I ever DJ'd, man. Like I tell this story like to close friends. Um and I remember the first party I ever DJ'd, I had literally gotten my equipment like 2 days before. Never had touched equipment before. Somebody from work was like, hey, I want you to DJ this thing. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Right. And it was like 1,500 people that were there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, bruh, what am I doing? How am I going to do it? Like, and it literally was like within days, I just figured it out. And like, I listened back to the set because like, you know, you can record it, right?
Yeah.
It fucking sucked. It sucked. Like it was,
but you were there.
it was trash. I was there. Exactly. I was there. I was there. And what's crazy and what's even crazier is that like multiple people, whether it was like during the party or after the party, were like, yo, Ish, like you got a talent. Like you should keep going. You know what I mean? But it didn't feel right because it was like, yo, if I feel like externally that's what it's for. And it's like, that's not what I'm doing this for. I didn't shell out all this money to like have external validation. Like this is my own love story. Like I do this on my own terms, you know what I mean? Not for anybody else, but for me, you know, and learning about that and having that experience like has been really, really great for me, you know, because as I'm kind of exploring what it means to be a DJ, I'm learning so much about just the technical part of the art that like is giving me so much like anxiety because I'm like, holy shit, like there's so much to learn, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm behind the eight ball thinking, but the other part to it too is like, for what? Like, why are you putting all this pressure on yourself to like learn all this shit? You should be doing it just for the love. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But like my aspiration is like, man, I think about like, what the hell would it look like to be on Coachella? Like doing a DJ set on Coachella, or like, man, I'll take it beyond that. Like how fly would it be to like host a diaspora party? You know, because like, you know, the diaspora, they go back every Christmas.
What do those feel like to you when you like imagine those moments in the future? What does that feel like? What does it feel your mind or your heart or your
It's
body?
exhilaration, like the purest form of joy, you know, like because I've experienced those moments, you know, throughout my career and my life, like, you know, whether it was with work, you know, putting together a um man, I did this thing at work like 2 years ago where it was like a rooftop party, and my whole idea behind it was just like I want to be able to get folks from Seattle together, right? And let them know about like the tech community that's out here. But on the other side, it was like, hey, company, y'all need to know that there is talented Black folks out here. I'm tired of y'all like hiring on the same like folks that look the same. They come from the same schools. Like they all come from the same background. We need to be able to like affect change. So I had been part of the Black employee group at my company, and dog, somebody somebody cracked me up because they were like, Yo, man, this might be the first time that a swag surf has ever been done in this corporate building. I was like, and I was
That's
like, yo, that's a moment. That's a moment. That's an impactful moment. You know what I mean? And it let me know, like, all right, there is more to it. You know what I mean? And I know that like it's like on its surface, like, yo, okay, they did the swag surf. Like what effect, but like what impact did you really affect, right? Like how did you really make a change? But like we had something like 50% participation, you know what I mean, from an RSVP list of like over 500 people. So it's like most times if you're putting an event together, you're basing it on like, all right, like 25 to 35% is going to show up. So we already exceeded expectation, and that's more people that this company was able to get in touch with. So it's like if I can do my part in terms of like giving you the alley, all I need you to do is just oop it. You know what I mean? Just dunk it. And that's kind of how I've been approaching things. And because I've been the recipient of that, you know what I mean? There's so many moments in my life where people have given me alleys. And sometimes I'll come in and like between the legs,
yeah.
360 dunk it. And then there's other times where it's like, as I'm getting ready to get up there, my momentum is off and like, I don't flush it, So it's like, you take those lessons for what they are. But it's part of the journey, man. Like one of the things that I'm realizing is that like life is cyclical, like, and it's weird to be able to come into a space where you can understand those moments and be more, I think of like the Muhammad Ali kind of just like stick and move,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Where you're able to kind of get to a point where it like whether you're up, whether you're down, like you're still good. You know what I'm saying? You're still blessed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that's the whole point of the process is just being able to go through the good and the bad and realize that's all a part of the story. There's never going to be anything that you do in life where it's just this consecutive streak of goodness or the consecutive streak of wins. Like if that was the case, then there'd be no joy in the journey. What's the point of like having any sort of journey where there isn't any struggle to kind of like go up against to feel like that victory of overcoming, like that feeling of overcoming and victory. So just even like you're saying, like you bring in merging those two worlds, the corporate and the creative, that just shows that's an energy transfer that has value. Like being able to open people's minds to new things, whether it's new music or new ideas that they haven't heard before, that's value. Having these conversations, that's value. You going for a dream, that's value. And actualization and actualizing yourself. So I think on that sort of note of like wanting to, I guess, actualize, how do you balance the want of that Coachella dream and the day to day of having that work tension of that work like reality with the dream of the Coachella? How do you
I
see it?
think it.
How do you see it do you see it as steps? Do you see it as I'm waiting to have a specific thing happen? Do I have to learn something, or is it just if I keep working, an opportunity's gonna come? How do you frame
Yeah, I think
the
I think
space
it's I
between?
think it's I think I don't think it's either one. I don't think it's either or, man. I think it's both and. You know what I mean? I think it's like one aspect of it is being measured in your steps, right? And reverse engineering what that actually is. So like in any situation, like the way that I kind of process and approach it is like I want to reverse engineer it. Like, all right, that's the goal. Now work backwards and figure out what the steps are. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can map that out in like a day. Sometimes it takes you a week. Sometimes it takes like a year, but like you have to keep at it, you know what I mean? To figure out like, what are the steps that I need to take? But the other part to it too, man, is like, if you're doing the work, like it's going to find you, you know what I mean? The only thing that you have to do is just speak it into existence, and like, it's weird. One of the things that I've come to understand about myself is that like I talk myself out of my own blessings,
Yeah.
right? Because whether if it's a fear or like, man, I don't know that I'm prepared or I don't know that I'm good enough for this. Like I've done that, you know what I mean? And now as I am approaching a new chapter in my life, I'm like, for what? Why? Why am I gonna sit there and waste time that I've already wasted? Like I'm not getting that time back. It's not like I can like press a button and go back to that specific moment. So it's like all you have is the moment in front of you right now. And you're not promised tomorrow. You can't change yesterday. So like make do with what you've got. So that's what I've been trying to do, is like every day trying to make sure that I'm 1% better than I was yesterday, because it'll compound over time, man. Like, and it's an inevitable truth, right? Like, if you continue to work at something, you're going to get your hours in. Like, you're going to be able to find a way to like make that work. Like, I think about in 10 years from now, what does the world around me look like? And the world around me is beautiful. It's a space where I'm able to flow. There's no constriction, right? Like, the water is just, it's flowing, you know what I mean? And I think of that as kind of like being a metaphor for my life, because like everything is going to be able to flow once I know that I'm putting in the work. So
Yeah.
like today, what did I do to get better? You know what I mean? And then that'll help me figure out tomorrow and just keep going from there.
Absolutely. There's something like, there's a quote that I love that thing goes like, life gets easier. All you have to do is do the work. And I really believe like that day to day doing it, that showing up really, really matters, because you're getting better. You don't realize it's like every day going to the gym or whatever the case may be. You may not see the incremental like strength increases, on that, that's within that day. But over time, wow, I'm lifting an extra 5 pounds. I'm lifting an extra 10 pounds. Lifting an extra 20 pounds. And pretty soon you're deadlifting 1,000 pounds, well, not that much, but you know what I mean? Like, and it's a considerable amount of weight more than what you were doing before. So there is something just to showing up and doing something every day or every other day or every week that I think is important and a part of the process.
Yeah.
But another part of the process, I think it's really being able to like be crystal clear about your dreams and the reasons as to why you're doing them. It's like I've been trying to tell myself, lately, like really, really focus on not the result of the success, but like what part of the journey can you focus on? What part of the doing it do you love? Because if you don't love the doing of it, you're not going to love the success of it. I need to find the bits and pieces where it's like, oh, if I want to be, in 10 years, for example, I want to have 3 books and I want to have, 1,000 episodes of some podcast and yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, what part of that is going to get me to that 1,000? What part of it do I love? Oh, I love the conversation. I love meeting new people. I love keeping up with my friends. I love that part of it. I'd be doing that if we weren't even taping. I was doing that. I'd be doing it if we weren't even publishing it. Oh, so great.
Right.
That's the part of it that you love. That's the part of it that's going to be sustained. Because in the past, I can speak to this. I've had the destination way more in my mind than the actual journey. I mean, like I got the whole house and the street that is on, the neighborhood is gonna be in, the how the food smells in the crib, like the vibe of it, the whole decor. I got shit that I'm gonna have in my closet in the destination of my dream before I got like, so I'm trying to go from here. I mean, literally, I don't care about what street I'm taking, what the map gonna look like, who I'm gonna meet, what type of hurdles I'm gonna probably go through.
The reason I'm cracking up, man.
Yeah, the enjoying of being on the road, like
that's been my journey too, bro.
like that's been the shifting as I've gotten older in the
Yeah.
past years.
Yeah, man. I think part of going through your 20s is like you're going in understanding that like you're just gonna make a shit ton of mistakes, right? And I've made a shit ton of mistakes. So it's like, now that you're a little older, you're a little wiser, man, you smooth with it. You know what I mean? The cha-cha slide is like way smoother. Like you just wavy with it, like you're able to understand challenges and know how to respond to them better. You know what I'm saying? But like, like the reason it cracked me up, because like I literally, one of the things that I love to do is like, I love to drive, right? And sometimes like my drives will take me like to areas where I'll be like, all right, cool. Like I'm here in another neighborhood or another part of the city, and I love the water. So oftentimes these neighborhoods by the water are like super glamorous, like mansions and whatever, right? And like I'll be cruising down the street, bro, and be like, that crib,
Exactly.
that crib. And, you know what I'm saying? So as you're saying that, like it just sparked that thought in my head, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy, because here I was thinking that I was the only person that like had that thing, you know what I mean, where you're focused on the destination, but you're not focused on the journey. Like I read a Kobe quote not too long ago where he talks about, the success is not in the destination, it's in the journey, right? And that realization, man, it just was like, and this is from somebody like, it's my favorite basketball player, guy that I've looked up to since I was a pup, you know what I mean? Like being able to kind of see all of the things that he had been able to do, like he was a definition of greatness and success in my eyes, right? For him to talk about that, you know, and then even further, like I think it was either the same interview or like maybe another interview where he talks about like the process of how he became great, right? And like you mentioned something that just kind of sparked the thought, like when you talk about all of the things that you say that you love to do, right? The things that sustain you, right? But what are those areas that you're like shying away from, the things that you're maybe like neglecting to take care of and addressing, right? And then later on down the line, like they end up coming out as like something that's toxic or you needed to address, right? And be able to heal through. And I like thought about that and like this quote from Kobe where he talked about like how he became such a great basketball player. And for me, like basketball is like the way that I relate to the world. So like I use a lot of basketball analogies and metaphors. Like you know this already, you know what I'm saying? But like that's just the way that I connect. And he talked about this thing with he basically was like, yo, when I first got in the league, one of the first things that I realized was that like I have two things that I'm like scheduled to do, right? I got weights in the morning, I got practice in the afternoon. Rest of the time is mine to keep, right? I can do whatever. So he started observing like people around him and what they were doing. Some of the older veterans, like they would go home to see their families. Maybe some of the young guys, you know, they'd be out there tricking off, doing whatever, right? But he was like committed to the work, and he was like, I knew that if I changed and adjusted my life in a way where I had a workout before the workout and I had a practice solo after the team practice, if I did that consistently for a few years, it didn't matter what, you know, what my competition did. It didn't matter what my teammates did. They just weren't going to be able to like keep up with me. And the nugget of wisdom that he talked about that like really stuck with me was like those moments, they compound, right? Because in year one, like I don't know if you remember it, but there was like I think it was like year one or year two where like he went to go take a 3-pointer and he airballed it. And then he went back again and he got the same shot again and he airballed it again, right? And it was because his legs were too weak, right? He couldn't keep up with an 82 game season, right? And then being in the playoffs. So he figured out that he had to adjust his approach, right? And from there, it just created a monster. You know what I mean? Like we saw everything that his career did, and like what he exemplified in terms of like grit and being able to overcome a challenge. And that to me is something that I resonate with so much because I've had those moments in my life where I've like been like, damn, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to overcome this. I don't know how I'm going to eclipse this challenge or this wall that is like, it feels not even like a wall. It feels like a mountain. You know what I mean? How am I going to be able to get to that mountaintop? And being able to like learn from the examples of the people that we look up to, that shit's cool to me. You know what I mean? And it's something that when I think about like, what does that mountaintop look like? I don't have to worry about the mountaintop, man. The mountaintop will be there. You know, like I got to just stay focused and in the process of like figuring out what that journey is, you know, and like that adjustment for me, like probably I would say like a year ago, has been so transformative because it's been able to help me cut dead weight. It's been able to help me like stay focused and refined. It's been able to keep me aligned in what my purpose is, you know. And that's ultimately what I'm after, man. It's like if it doesn't align with what my ultimate purpose is, I don't have space for it. It's not that I'm closing myself off from things. It's that I know what I need to do and I'm gonna do it. And if I make a mistake, then I'll go and I'll apologize. But what I'm not gonna do anymore is ask for permission. Like I think that for a long time I kind of felt like I had to pay my dues, and then ultimately, like, you know, those opportunities will come in because but it's like, nah, like that's not the way the world works. It's you just got to go out there and go get yours, you know, and be about that. And once you are, like, things will just like kind of shape to your what you need, you know.
It's like when people say luck, like quote unquote, luck is created, but it really isn't. It's definitely earned. It's just, you do 20,000 things and you hope one of the 20,000 works out, or 10,000 hours, and you hope one of those hours an opportunity's there. In between that, whether it's because you were working, you met someone, or because you were working, someone saw something that you did, or because you were working, you happened just to be in the right place at the right time, and you saw the opportunity that no one else would have saw because you were there doing the grind, or you had an epiphany while you were doing something. You found a way to do something in another way that no one else was doing it, that gave you an advantage. It's just like, to me, all the solutions are found in the work. Are found in the grind. And my thing was that I've always had a very strong discipline, like a very strong like grind, but I didn't know what I was grinding for. So it was just work, 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 work. You look up, damn, I've been working for 2, 3, 4 years on this shit, and it's like I don't even know why I'm working. It's just like a check. It's just a way to sustain. It's just a way to survive. And it hasn't been up until the past 2 or 3 years when I've really given myself just the time to be like, so what am I trying to do here? Like, I've always wanted to meet and connect with people. I've always wanted to travel, and I've always wanted to share, but I didn't know what that was going to be, or what it was going to do, or what the grind was going to, what the actual work was going to look like in trying to do that. Like, I remember joking to friends, like, yo, y'all should be paying me to talk to you. Like, just joking. Cause I was like, it's just a joke.
Should be paying. Yeah.
I was just a joke because I remember like having multiple hour conversations with friends, and I just enjoyed them so much, having a good vibe. And it was like, man, this would be great if I can only get paid to do this. But just, again, as a joke to myself, as a joke, like, yo, this is a joke. You know what I mean? For myself, to myself for years. And it's like, it's generally what I love doing. I love talking to people. I just love having conversations. To me, it's like the most valuable thing on earth is conversation, is exchange, is like a transfer of energy. It's like we're all alchemists, and we express ourselves, and someone else knows something that we don't know. Or you read a book, same thing, just on a monotone, and you don't hear the person's voice, but you're getting their intention and their information. It's like that transfer of information, that transfer of self to other self is like the most powerful and like mystical and inexplicable and beautiful thing to me. And like you're saying, Kobe, like being that sort of person who gave you that sort of transfer of like, this is how to be great, this is how to like proceed in life, this is how to grind, this is how to get there, this is how to be a champion. It's so weird to me because growing up, I feel like that's the thing I missed. I never had any person that I looked up to. And people think I'm joking when I say that, but I had it was no parental figures. Like all my older cousins, they weren't like, I knew from a young age that these weren't the people to mimic, given how reckless they were with certain things. And like, nobody. Like, I mean, Bob Marley was like the closest thing, and I didn't really get into him until my early 20s, late teens, maybe in like college. It's like I literally went this extremely long period of having no one, no thing, no higher power, nothing that I looked up to. And I look back on it like, yo, bro, how'd you even survive? It was like every single thing that is a part of me, I had to accept, figure out, and just like, okay, I like that. I'm gonna take it on. I don't like that. I'm gonna like get rid of that. And it's always been something like, I just wonder how that lack of having an aspirational figure or thing affected my life. And that's why, in my opinion, I feel like I've been a late bloomer when it comes to some of this creative shit. Well, I've been a late bloomer in like trying to actualize my dreams because I didn't have anyone that I saw that I wanted to be like, oh shit, I want to be a musician. I want to be a basketball player. I want to be someone who's inspiring. I want to be someone who's motivation. I want to be someone who shares. I want to be someone who's like nothing. It's almost like my life started at like, I hate to say this, but like at 24, 25. I'm not even, that's how it feels to me. So like all this shit is just like me being a teenager all over again. That's why I don't care about the mistakes. Because it's like, I'm just trying it for the first time. I can't feel like I'm doing anything wrong because I'm just doing it for the first time. These are my first shots. Catch me on the episode 200 or 1000 or some shit. And then we can talk about how horrible of a job I'm doing for me to internalize.
Right.
I keep going to the place, getting to that place. And if I know for a fact, if I feel it, I know other people can feel it too. It's like how when you're creating a vibe, or when you were listening to Kobe, or when you're around certain people, or you're creating something, like you feel it. And if it's pure, and if you have that, the pulse is right, other people can feel it too. And that's why it's love connection. It's like you can't, of course, there's people who may con you and emotions could get entangled or whatever, but you can't fake an emotion when it's really, really, really real between two people. You can fake it on one side, but you know when you've like aligned with someone, you know when like you created an energy and a spark, and you feel that like sort of like human fire and energy that you create amongst each other. It's like, I know I've been rambling for a little bit, but it's like, if you're watching a show with somebody or like watching a movie with somebody, and like they like pick up their phone, how we all know the energy to change, like energy change, because we're not all focused on the same thing anymore. Like you're
Right.
playing a song at a
Right.
club and a party, and like if like when like you hit the right note when the transition was perfect, because everybody like just feels it, and like the dance movements just go into one, like that sort of thing. I think we all know. Like, is that the reason why you love? Do you? I rather forget that why you love it. Do you pick that up when you're like performing, or when you're doing something as well? That energy, that transfer, that you
Yeah, man.
touching on.
Like people think that like, getting up on stage, like you're giving, right? And you are, but like the energy that I receive from being able to know that I'm sharing, like for me, like I know that I can't speak to DJing at length because I'm still in that infancy of learning the craft and like identifying like what my lane is going to be, but like I'm claiming it, like that's the thing. Like nobody's gonna tell me that like I'm not claiming it. I'm claiming it. Like I will be a DJ, but I do think that like when it comes to like spoken word and poetry, like that has been my love language since I was like 15 or 16 years old. You know what I mean? Like I was in speech and debate when I was a kid, right? In high school. And you go to these debate tournaments and I would just be sitting there like writing little rhymes, you know what I mean? Like just simple shit, you know what I mean? Like figuring out how language worked. And then like when I got to college and like I started like learning about like actual like folks that did this as a full-time thing, right? Like I had never known that, you know what I mean? I didn't like getting introduced to Def Jam poetry, like when I was like 18, I think it was the best thing in the world. Cause like I sat there and consumed it wholesale, just like every artist, every taping, every like I think I'm close to have seen like being able to have seen all of them, right? Like it was just this exchange that I was like, yo, this is amazing. How can I do it? You know what I mean? And like spoken word, like with poetry, man, like it's this art form where folks think that like you're sitting there just like writing what comes to mind and then like going out there and performing it, but they don't realize that like I'm sharing like my deepest, most vulnerable parts of who I am, you know what I mean, in my art form, you know what I mean? Like you can like listen to a line and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that rhymed with this other word. Cool, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like there's a specific reason that is there. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a specific reason I'm talking about that. And you may not know the story, you may not know the moment, but like that exchange is so real because you're getting up there and you're sharing the most vulnerable parts of yourself. And the one thing that I've always loved about the poetry community that I come from, and then being able to like more broadly like travel around the country and like perform, is that like folks respect when you are taking a risk of sharing a part of yourself. You know what I mean? Like I've heard it throughout my life. Like, man, I can't believe that you get up there and you go do it. And I go, no, man, you can do it too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just like this one-off individual, you know what I mean, that can go out there and do this. Like this is an art form that can be shared amongst all of us. You know what I'm saying? You can do it, Cleon, Joshua can do it, like Rahel can do it. Like it's not just me, you know what I mean, that can do this. So it's like when I go up on stage and I feel all eyes on me, and then I realize that like everybody is paying attention to every pause and breath, every dictation and word, every rhyme, every like, that to me is like some of the best shit ever. Like that feeling right there, the best shit ever. You know what I mean? And the energy that I get from that when I write something and it's like a slick double entendre, and like somebody in the crowd,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, catches it. That to me is like why I love getting out there and performing. It's because I get to express and exhibit like my intellect, my wit, my ability to communicate, like all of that, in this art form that is just, I don't know, man, like the exchange is it's so real. Like, I'll never forget going to New Eurekan Poets Cafe
Yeah.
out there in New
I'm here,
York,
I'm here a couple
right?
times.
Bro, I'm telling you, that was like a bucket list
Mhm.
spot for me. You know what I'm saying? Or like a Busboys and Poets in DC, like the original Busboys and Poets, right? That was a bucket list thing for me, right? And when I was able to like perform on those stages, and everybody in the crowd was like, "Yo, you're kind of nice." Like, where you from again? Oh, I'm from Seattle. Like, oh, okay, they got some artists out there in Seattle. I'm like, I'm just one of many. You know what I mean? Like amazing artists that are out here, and like, there's other people that like have done amazing work. Like there's this woman out here by the name of Nikita Oliver, and she is like one of the illest when it comes to being able to go up there and like pour her heart out. You know what I mean? Like I've watched and performed with her, over the years. And, you know, anytime that somebody says like, oh man, you're going to be on stage with Nikita, I'm like, God damn, I got to come correct. Like I got to make sure that what I'm doing is coming correct and respecting this art form because of that respect that I have for her. You know what I mean? And like what she represents. And so it's like, you get these exchanges, man, that just come in different ways. You know what I mean? Like it's not just one singular thing. Like it's, yeah, it's a combination of all these other pieces that are coming at you, and you're like able to interpret them and then flow from that.
I think there's something about the stage as well that I think is really, really like singular and unique for performing artists. There's one part of like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing because I think we're all artists at something. That's what I believe. I believe we're all artists to a degree at something. So, but I think there's something very unique about performing artists. There's something about having to put your work on display for others as you do it, that there is no sort of like do-over factor, which then goes into why I understand you're more of a perfectionist than maybe I am at this moment, because on the stage when you're doing something live, there are no other opportunities to you can't like restart for the most part if you're halfway through and you miss a word or you miss a sentence. So that's a different sort of like, I think about comedians like that too. It's like you're just here. There are no takes. You're not an actor. There are no do-overs. It's just here and now in this moment, and this is the only moment that this moment exists in. So it has
Mm-hmm.
to be your best moment. So
Mm-hmm.
that does play interestingly into like the whole idea of being a perfectionist and the need to
I
want
don't
to do
think
things
it.
differently.
I don't. Not to cut you
No?
off, but I don't think of it as like I think I've moved away from the idea of perfection
Good,
and
good,
being a
good.
perfectionist. Like I know that like I know I have perfectionist tendencies. Like I know that for sure. Like I'm not gonna deny that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that I'm moving towards a space where it's all about progression, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in the space of progression, like you're focusing on the journey, you're not focusing on the destination, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Um, and I think that like when you focus on progress over perfection, man, like you just get you accumulate grace. You know what I mean? Like you just are graceful in the way in which you're approaching it. I think for me, what I'm trending towards more of is like, if these are the things that I want to do with my life, I have to be a professional at them,
Yeah.
right? Like there has to be a professional way of being able to approach it, like respecting the exchange, right? Again, of like people came to see you perform, right? Like there is at some level, there's an expectation of like, all right, I came here to support you and see what you're doing. Let me like check you out, right? And on my end, I'm thinking of like, all right, all these people came out here, they're gonna watch me perform. I need to do my part in being professional in how I approach it, right? Like if I were to go up there and like was trying to go about it in a way that it doesn't really speak to like, yo, are you taking this serious? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, are you just up here goofing off? Like, what are you doing? You know, like I I think that there would be like that's a different conversation. But for me, the way I always kind of thought of it is like, all right, if this is what I'm planning to do with my life, um, I need to be more professional in how I approach it. It's not perfectionist, right? Like, I do think that there are elements of it that in an ideal world, you want it to be perfect, but nothing is ever going to be perfect. Like, I can tell you at every open mic that I've ever performed at, ever, I've always had a moment where like I have to take a moment to pause and breathe
Mhm.
and be like, all right, let me like, and let me let the crowd in, you know what I mean? So I'm communicating, you know what I mean? Like, I'll let them know like, hey y'all, like, I've been at this now for a little over a decade, but the feeling doesn't change. You're still always going to be nervous. You're still always going to be like anxious. Like, yo, is like what I'm saying getting across? Like, am I stumbling over my words? Like, am I talking loud enough? Like,
Yeah.
am I projecting? You know what I mean? Am I being animated in the parts that need to be animated? Am I remembering my cues? Like, there's all these things that you're like, your mind is running at a mile a minute, right? But at the end of the day, like, I think in anything that you do, man, like if you're coming at it from a place of love, like you're never gonna disrespect the form of how you approach it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because it's love. It's pure joy. It's pure love, and that love can sometimes be hard to see when you're, you know, I think like we talked about at the beginning of the conversation, when you're like looking at external validation or external, like you're looking toward the external, but I think there's a balance that you have to strike in understanding that like while this is a pure love joy experience, you have a responsibility to ensuring that you're maintaining or eclipsing what it means to like create that unique experience for your audience, you know, like, and that's what I always think about. Like, that's what I'm always considering is like, how do I make this experience as unique of an experience as possible so that like when they see me, they remember that moment. You know what I mean? They remember that moment and all the thoughts that came with that moment. Like, and are those moments like, were they painful or were they moments that sparked joy, you know? And that's kind of how how I was thinking about it when it comes to poetry, man.
Yeah, it's almost like you're creating memories for people, right? When it really boils down
In
to
a
it,
sense,
you just
yeah.
want to be a
In
part
a
of it.
sense.
And you want to be a part of like a good memory, something that meant something to them. And I think maybe that's what we're all doing to a degree. We're all just trying to create memories, you know, moments that matter, you know. That makes good.
Yeah, man.
Not to switch gears too strongly, but I want to hit you with a bunch of topics as we go along, not just
Yeah,
talking
let's do
about
it.
our aspirations as artists and, you know, and our aspirations, obviously our aspirations as men is just important. I really want to talk about like your aspirations as a man, you know, separate and apart from just the creativity, but like, what are the things that you've been working on over these past couple of months?
Uh, man. Stepping away from the creative, I think the internal work
Mm-hmm.
has been most like that's been the most pressing issue. Um, Being able to coming to a space as a man where I have a firm understanding of who I am, what my purpose is, and the vehicle that I'm going to use to exact that purpose. Um, I think has been the focus for I think I would say the last maybe 4 or 5 years. And I would say in the last like year to year and a half, it's been like kind of like we're talking about these themes of compounding, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's just been like consistent, just going. And then the last year and a half, it's just kind of rocketed. Yeah, because like, you know, you find that you deal with something long enough, it don't bother you as much. You know what I mean? Or you find that you are dealing with the same situation. It's like, well, why am I dealing with the same situation? Something has to change, right? And when you figure out you have that epiphany, that aha moment, um, you just you can't unsee it, right? So for me, you know, mental health and being able to talk about that amongst my group of friends has been something that I've been doing for the last, I'd probably say like 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? So I'm 29 now. So I was approaching the conversations at like 22, 23, because I had lived experiences where like I was feeling something. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, what's going on here? I don't understand it. And I'm the type of individual where like if I don't understand something, I'm gonna do the internal work first, but then I'm gonna also go to like my trusted core group, you know what I mean? My crew that I know that I can like, if I call them and be like, hey man, I got this thing, bro. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, help me process through this. They're there. Um, but I think even more broadly, being able to like talk about those experiences has been um, something that I've been growing through. You know, like, um, I had I I had a moment. What was it, back in August, where I realized that this freak injury that I had, man, that kind of like took my life from here and then like it just went complete left. Um, like it didn't have the same level of just like power over me anymore. You know what I mean? Because like it had me questioning and doubting everything, right? Thinking about everything. And then like when you're dealing with like long-term depression, right? Because of this injury, you're like, well, is there something flawed with me? Like, am I flawed? Like, how am I approaching it? And so um, I think that the grace that I tend to exhibit in understanding people and understanding where people are coming from comes from those lived experiences of like, man, I remember what it was like when I was trying to like express what I was going through, but didn't maybe necessarily have the language. And some of the responses that I got that kind of hurt, right? And it's like, I never want to be able to exact that type of pain on somebody else, you know? So like, just always trying to come from a place of understanding of like, all right, like, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know why you're going through it, but if you're asking me and like you're opening yourself up to me enough to where like you're being vulnerable with me, I have a responsibility in ensuring your safety and ensuring like that you're okay, you know, like, and if the conversations continue to evolve from that and you're able to come into a space where you better understand what you're going through, that's great. Um, but if you feel like you need to go talk to somebody else, also cool, because I know that it's not about me. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm just one person, man. You know, like I'm not out here trying to like preach on anything that I haven't gone through myself. You know what I mean? And I know I never want to come at it from a preachy standpoint, because I know that doesn't um, it doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? When I feel like somebody's trying to preach at me. So I always try to approach it as a man, like, all right, what do I know to be real? What do I know to be true? And how do I speak to those things and those things alone? You know what I mean? And maintaining that level of um, perspective. You know what I mean? So yeah, in the last year and a half, it's been uh, an adjustment in approach. And then in the last, like once the pandemic hit, man, it like forced everybody to sit down and be like, yo, okay,
What's going
what the
on?
fuck is yeah, what the fuck is going
Yeah,
on? You
man.
know?
Like it was.
So
It's.
yeah, so just being able to come.
I'm glad, no, so I was going to say, I'm glad that you had those revelations and the fact that you've been dealing, like you've been actually doing the work for your mental health, on your mental health for such a long period of time, especially at such a young age. Because I feel like myself, I started again not having those tools to get through things and really having a really like rudimentary approach to just inner thoughts. I've always been very a deep thinker, very self-reflective, but I didn't have the tools of like, so where exactly is all this coming from? Like within the past year, I found the root of so many things. Like in the past couple of months, I found the root of so many things. Just like having conversations, people asking you deep questions. Like I think one of the interviews I did, I forget exactly which magazine, but there was a question like, oh, what's the meaning of SHEREN? Or what's the name of SHEREN? And I remember like answering that question how many times to people, like it's my mom's name, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's about sharing and that double entendre of actually sharing things, very vulnerable, very, humanistic approach to life and writing. And then for some reason, some lady just asked me a question from Days Magazine. And I was like, it's actually all the conversations that you know, it's actually a conversation with my mother at the core. What the book is, like, that's really what it is. It's all the conversations that we, you know, we've never had and the ones we still don't. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like having that revelation, like it really pushed me back because there had been so much dialogue with regard to my mother and, you know, my relationship and other things in my life. And it's going back to moments where, you know, I realized like my mother's been literally the central defining figure in my life, good and bad, for so many different issues, and having to deal and have those conversations internally with myself and with partners and some with her. And it just got me to a place where I realized like this past few months to me, it's been about grace and forgiveness, and not just a forgiving of the past, but a forgiving of self and giving myself grace for the mistakes that I've made, and realizing that, you know, I didn't have all the tools. I'm literally going through life for the first time like everyone else is. And I feel like we're getting in a place with culture, and probably hopefully we're not holding ourselves too much to this, but where we're not realizing that we're supposed to make mistakes. It's not supposed to be just endless. Again, this endless idea of endless wins. Like, I feel like the idea of like we're not complete products in life is being removed from us. We're like all being held to our worst moment, our worst day, our worst tweet, our worst performance, our worst set, you know what I mean? Our worst essay, like whatever it is. And it's not like this idea of like, you know, life is supposed to be more. I'm not sure if it's the internet or just whatever it is, but it's like we're all being like, remember that bad moment you have? That is you into totality, into
Yeah.
and like it's just such a weird place to be, which I refuse to be held by that. I refuse for anyone to hold me into the worst moment of myself, because life is all about infinite growth, constant growing, getting better if you choose to get better, getting better if you have the help. And I think it's related to all things. So this moment has been like me realizing that more than at any point in time in my life, I truly believe in growth. I truly believe in getting better and going through and getting through. Um, and just, you know, forgiveness and grace. And I'm glad that you came to that space as well. And you've had that sort of like group to lean on.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a space that I've definitely recognized, like who is in my life to pour in, and who is in my life to take away, right? But I think even beyond that, it's like you said, like being able to have forgiveness for self, right? um, when you come from an environment and from a background where you're you always got to be on, right? And the internet doesn't help any, you know what I mean? Because you are constantly like being stimulated into thinking that like everybody is on all the time. But it's like, no, man, you're dealing with personas. You're not dealing with real people, you know? And I think I had watched an interview that you did, um, where it was like, you want to just get back. I think you mentioned like you want to get back to the simple shit, right?
I do.
Like, bruh, that's literally what I'm after. Like, I want to get back to the simple shit. I want to be able to get back to the shit where it's like, yo, man, I went through this life. Like, all right, I'll share something that like I haven't really shared in like public spaces, right? Um, not yeah, I haven't shared in public spaces because it's like it's not your business, right? But like it's a central defining moment in my life that like helped me understand like what it was that gave me an understanding of like how to get back to the simple shit, right? um so like 6 7 years ago I had a freak accident, right? And I basically snapped one of the vertebrae in my spine, right? um and that experience um like shaped everything, because it was like prior to that I was this individual that like at a moment's notice, as a former athlete, right, and as a high functioning athlete, like my body was how I was able to do anything that I wanted to do, right? And then like anything that I thought of like being able-bodied, like I just went out and did it, you know what I mean? And then post that, it was like you're talking about this whole like restart, or like hitting the reset button on your life, right? That was like a moment where it felt like there was a reset button on my life, right? And life went from being super simple to like really fucking complicated overnight. So like you have all of these like sensory overload like moments where it's like, I can't, like, I don't feel like my thoughts are clear. I don't feel like my body's right. I don't feel like I'm eating well. I don't feel like it just compounds, right? And like a year and a half ago, that was when it was just like, yo, I'm getting back to the simple shit, reset, you know? And this summer was the first summer where I realized that like, yo, I'm not about to be defined by this one thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't anybody else's definition because like I didn't know the language on how to speak on it. You know what I mean? I didn't like, I felt like in a weird sense, like a deep shame associated to it because it was like, here I was being able to keep moving forward and all of these other things. But the moment this happened, it felt like it stopped all the momentum, right? And it curbed all that momentum in being able to actually materialize the things that I wanted to do. But when I look back, I'm like, man, it really didn't hold you from too much because everything that I've been able to do up until that point, man, like I've done some fly dope shit, you know what I mean? With a literal handicap, you know what I mean? Thinking that it was a literal handicap, and it is, like, it's still physical, but like more so than anything else, it was a mental handicap where like I fed myself these thoughts where it was like, I'm not worthy or good enough for it because, you know, your body's not there yet, man. And when I finally got to a point where it was like, nah, dog, like this year, that ain't it. That for me was like that transformative moment where I understood, like as a man, that like I was able to stare death right in the eyes, and I was able to tell, like to tell about it, you know? And that for me is what I'm looking at as like, okay, well, who's gonna stop me now? Like there's literally nothing that's gonna be able to stop me. Like it don't matter what challenge, what tribulation, what trial, it doesn't matter. Like I'm going to be able to eclipse it and be able to move forward through it because of this experience that I went through. And knowing that like I have felt bottom. Now we're getting back into the form of like who I am at my core. And it's like at bottom, people still believed in who I was and in the vision and understood that like there was something there. So what happens when I'm not held to that belief anymore? I'm not bound by that self-belief that I wasn't worthy of it or I wasn't good enough for it. What happens then? You know? And that for me is it's such a freeing moment, you know? And I feel like as men, we don't get those many opportunities, bro, where we can like express our joy in being free. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially as black men, you know what I mean? Like, I oftentimes think about like, man, what would it look like to live in Ethiopia or Kenya or Somalia or Ghana or whatever? But like as black men here, we don't get that, man. We don't get those opportunities.
I don't even
So
know.
like,
I don't even know how many people are actually even truly free. You know, like truly, genuinely free. Even the people that we imagine to be free, because we're all in some way, shape, or form holding ourselves down by some sort of like slavery, mental slavery, physical. Again, and some of these things are imagined, and some of these things are real. Like you said, you were in a space that you were having these effects of like depression because of your physical ailment, but then you came to the conclusion that it was almost something that you had the power over and didn't have power over you, right? If I heard that correctly. So it was
yeah,
almost like you were putting yourself in a greater bondage than you needed to be, although the physical thing was real. And I feel like we do that a lot to ourselves. I do it, friends do it, you do, everyone. I think it's not that we want to, like become victims. It's just that we have the struggle in life and we think those struggles are stronger than us. And I played into that feeling of like, you didn't have the upbringing, you didn't have the tutelage, you didn't have the people. Like, I mean, I remember moments of being like, bro, like, how are you going to get good at something when you feel like you're not good at anything? and you want to say that you want to be great at something, but you're not even good at anything. You have no one discernible skill. I've had moments of like literally like when I was younger and even recently, like trying to do something that's even better than what I think, of just like dramatic self-doubt. Like I want to create a phenomenal thing. How do I do that when I don't think I'm phenomenal at anything?
Right.
No, and it's just like, are you even a phenomenal person? You gotta like, it really strips you down, and you have to build all of that confidence back up. And that's why I really truly believe in struggle, because the only way to truly get confidence is through overcoming difficult things, whether it be mental or again physical or imagined or otherwise. It's just important. It's the only way to build up that sort of like resolve. Like the greater the struggle, the greater the peace. The greater the struggle, the greater the confidence. The greater the struggle, the greater the victory. Like I believe in that shit. Like I'm always, it's like there's a guy, David Goggins, who I really love, and there's others like him. There's tons of people that I've listened to throughout my life that I've been drawn to them, and people not even as like mechanical and diabolical as him, but like with it's different artists and musicians, and they talk about them overcoming. That shit has always given me strength, because it's like if that person said that they didn't know and they got to this level, whether it was because of some God-given talent that they didn't know about, that they eventually tapped in and wasn't insecure about, or they just worked and figured out a system to be able to make more incremental steps out of a bigger thing. I just find hope in that. And I think that's what people are seeking. I damn sure was what I was seeking. I'm telling you, there was a moment where it was like, I felt there was nothing I was exceptional at. And what I failed to realize, the only reason why you're not exceptional is because you're not working at it. You're not going to go for, again, thinking about the destination, having the fucking wardrobe picked out in the house before you even in the goddamn right state, right in the right country, not even began the journey. You haven't left your crib to get to the new place, the destination, and you already imagine yourself in the destination, not thinking about the journey. And that's where I found all my strength, was in the struggle. I had to go back to that. I've always been a worker. Why not realize that you can actually take that same work ethic and put it to something that you love that you may not be good at, and then
Right.
get to a place that you are good or you're better. And since I shifted to that in the recent years, and even stronger in the past few like month or so, past few months, it's like a superpower. I can do anything. I can be anything if I'm willing to work to become it, and realize that's going to take time. It's
Right.
not about this conversation. It's about this conversation, the ones that happened before it, and the next 500 I'm going to do. And that's
Right.
what I've been thinking about. But the point is, you have to enjoy this moment to get to any other moment. Because the stories, realistically, if you're willing to do the work, the story's already written. The good story's already written. Whether that good story involves the destination of all the beautiful things that you pick up on the way to the destination. Like I'm like really just been trying to like brainwash myself into believing that the real jewelry, the real destination is really as soon as you begin it. Like it's getting into that car, it's getting on the treadmill, it's waking up, it's doing the thing. Like that's the real success. And the championship, that's it. Right?
That
That's
is the
everything.
champion.
Everything else
That is
is
the
just
champion. Like, yeah, no, like I
the
think
actual.
there's a friend of mine that that used to tell me, like I always used to ask him like, hey man, how you doing? And he always used to be like, brother, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I woke up, everything else is a bonus.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, yo, that is the level of just like
I'm not there
you know
yet.
what I'm saying?
I'm not that level yet.
But that level of being able to know that like everything is a bonus,
Absolutely.
everything is a privilege.
Not there yet.
Like you got the ability to wake up, you know what I mean, and like you're not 6 feet under. Make the most of what you got in front of you, you know. And that for me is like an internal like struggle of being able to get to that level, because I know I'm not there yet.
I'm not there
You know
yet,
what I'm
bro.
saying?
Like
I'm not there yet.
I envy people like
But
that. I envy people like that who have that
but
mindful
but but
meditation.
but it's like, yeah, man. But it's like that's what I'm aspiring towards. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Is how do I get to a place where, as a man, I know that in doing my purpose, I know that everything, and I'm always keeping in perspective that everything is a blessing and a bonus. Like that level of just being able to like understand life on that level, man, you're gonna be able to like attract so much
Yeah.
goodness into your life. And that's not just in your career or in your like in your relationships. That's just like in everything, you know what I mean? In the way in which you dress yourself, in the way that you take care of yourself, in the way that you like when you're approaching people, like the way that people approach you, it's just in every exchange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in every exchange. And
I'm gonna be there.
when you reach that level, bro,
I'm gonna be there. I'm not that God Zen level yet. Like I felt that in moments, but it's not. I like everybody wants to say that. And I'm not saying that I don't believe your friend, because I absolutely do believe that people get there. I'm just not there. Like I know how that feels. Yeah, I felt that shit on vacation. Like the time that I felt that was when I went on like my big trip that I wrote about, because it was a feeling of not being bound to a job or a work or a place. And it happens when you have more control over your time. If I can wake up and every day dictate my day based on what I would enjoy doing or what I want to do, even if it's hard, but I would have fulfillment in it and be able to own my time completely, I would have that. I do not have that. And I know I'm never going to get to that place, or at least for a sustained period of time, until I feel like I'm steadily working towards me owning a greater majority of my time, which I currently don't. I know that about myself. I've done the work to realize that the only time I'm going to be happy in life is when I have more freedom of self, more freedom of time. And I understand some of that is based on your perception of reality and perception of how much control you have. But some of it is like, to get this resource, to pay for these lights, be on this laptop, to get this, I need to be at a place making a certain amount of money in an environment that I may not love, until I can create that same or a good enough amount of sustainability and survivability from my own brain, from my own hands. And I'm not there yet. And that's why I do make sure that I'm falling in love with the journey of things, so I can have it a little bit closer than the destination. But like, that's a part of it though. That's a part of the want of just like being able to have that control over just, I could do whatever I want today, and everything that I want to do today is what I want to do, even if it's hard. I think that's when I'll get to that place of like, today's a blessing. I woke up. It's great. I know you should have it regardless. I know that, but I'm just not there yet. Maybe if I do some more edibles, or I need some more trips, or I need
nah,
some
man.
more something. I'm not there yet.
I think it's being able to like wake up in the morning and know that like that's what you're striving towards, right? Setting intention. Like one of the things that I've really come to understand in the last 6 months is, the power of intention, right? And I feel like over the years I had kind of lost sight of that, because these were principles that I was raised on. You know what I mean? What are the intentions of what you're doing? And are the intentions of what you're doing looking to create greater good, or are they like for selfish means? You know, and it's okay either way. You know what I mean? Like we're human. We're gonna have selfish wants. You know what I mean? And
It could be
you
both.
should never, you know what I mean? You should never deny those wants, because when you deny them, you're denying a part of yourself, right? And like part of like unlocking the key to like self-actualization is being able to, I think, balance between like your wants and what the greater good is, right? So like the power of intention when it comes to that, man, like that is such a key tool I've discovered in being able to actually change your life. Because when you find yourself coming back into like old habits or like old versions of yourself, setting the intention and being able to have it in a place where like you're accountable to it, or whether that's through like a person or through your own like daily journal, or maybe like sometimes I know folks put it on their wall, right? And like they have to see it every day. But the power of setting that intention is so key, I found, in being able to actually materialize the dreams that you say that you want, right? Like everything comes from a place of intention, man. Like whether it's good intentions, bad intentions, it just comes from that state of intention. And I think like finding that balance, man, is important, like just not for any reason other than for you. You know what I mean? Like, because if you don't find that balance for you, how are you going to be able to like help somebody else set their intentions and help them materialize the things that they want? And that's one of the things that I realized too, was like, here I was focused on everybody else's issues and things that they got going, and always being quick to be like, cool, I got you, I'll be there. You know what I mean? And being dependable in that way, that it's like, well, what you doing focusing on what you got going? How are you're serving the greater good, but you're not serving yourself. Like, where's the balance? you know? And so it's been a difficult and uncomfortable journey in being able to start moving away from that and being able to like focus on the things that you need for yourself, you know? It's been an interesting journey, man. I'm grateful for it.
Which I think is beautiful, like being able to like when you speak of balance, I know what you mean about the balance between self and the balance of like, doing for others, doing for self, doing for others. And I think that that is a balance that we often strive towards. But fundamentally, I'm not even sure if I believe in balance. I'm not, I don't think fundamentally in practice, my life has not been one of balance. It hasn't, and maybe that's something I'm working towards, whether I know it or not. But I just don't. It's never been real for me. I've never had balance ever. It's always been imbalance. It's always been one. It's been like 90% one thing to get good at it, or to for survivability or whatever it is, and 10% of something else. You're in a relationship, you got a job, you got a passion. Everything can't get 100% of me 100% of the time, right? It's impossible. There's no such thing as balance in that equation. There's going to be, okay, I can give my relationship 50% of my time, and I got to give my work 25% of my time, and I got to give my passion another 25% of my time. Like our time is infinite. We all know there's 24 hours in a day. That's not,
Right.
if I'm sleeping 4 of it, 5 of it, just to be real, and I'm going to be at work for 8 of it, maybe 10, and I got 2 or 3 hour conversation with someone I'm dating, and then as I'm talking to them on the phone, and for the other time I wake, I'm like working 8 hours on my own thing, or I don't know if that adds even to 24 hours. It's just like I'm fully aware that I'm not giving everything in my life 100% of me, and I don't fall into the illusion that I am, because it's a false consciousness to me. I'd rather know I'm prioritizing this today. And I'm going to make sure, because I know I'm prioritizing, say, work today or my personal thing today, that I have to have another day where I'm 100% prioritizing my relationship, right? I've just come to those terms, because in the past, I wasn't doing that. In the past, I wasn't admitting that I was being imbalanced. And I was imbalanced, and I wasn't saying, and I wasn't holding myself accountable to, bro, you didn't like talk to your girl. Realistic, like, and she was there all weekend. You really didn't have a real in-depth conversation with her, other than the frivolous, other than the to-do list. Because I wasn't paying attention to my imbalance, because I wasn't saying I was being in imbalance, I didn't know that, hey, I should have gone back to tap into her more, tap into work more, tap into self more, or tap into this more. So I've accepted there is no balance. There's only priorities, and what I'm doing today and what I'm doing in the moment. Acknowledge what you're not prioritizing, so you can prioritize it in the future if it's important to you. So
Wait, man, that's such an
eliminated
interesting.
I've
I
eliminated
love that. Like, I love that. I love that frame of thought though, where it's like, because even for me, you know what I mean? I always I talk about it all the time. Like, I'm always trying to find a place of balance in my life, right? Like,
Think about Kobe though. Like, think about it. Like, Kobe was in balance,
yeah,
man. Like,
but
that man was
but
at
here's
work.
right, and that's where like I think part of the reason why I feel like I've always strived for balance is because we are multidimensional beings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, we are not just one thing. We are not defined by just one thing. If that was the case, the world would literally be analog. You know what I mean? It would be 1 + 1 = 2, and we would be able to predict based on that, you know what I mean, what you're gonna do. Like on some like, I don't know, like Hunger Games type shit. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their specific place in the world, and that's what you're set to do. And I don't think the world or human beings, we operate like that, right? So I've always come at it from like a place of like, all right, well then, if I know that I am this multidimensional being, like, and I have all of these different parts of me, how do I make sure that they are in balance with one another, so that they aren't like, I'm not overextending myself too much one way or the other, right? um, but I think that when we talk about your purpose, that's where the conversation changes from a place of balance to, that's my purpose, right? And everything else kind of flows and balances from that. You know what I mean? Based on what I'm understanding and hearing from you, like, it seems as though it's a prioritization over balance, which is a different approach. You know what I mean? Because you
Maybe
prioritize that one thing with all your time and all your energy. And I think that for me, that is a lesson that I'm learning, you know what I mean? And being able to like stay prioritized on this one specific thing versus extending myself to like 5 different things
yeah,
all at
that's it. That's it exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I get exactly what you're saying.
That's exactly, because I feel like in order to be really great at anything, you need to have a focus, and the only way to focus is to, in my opinion, not have balance. You can't. you can't focus and be balanced. If I'm saying I'm doing this one thing right now, having this conversation, I can't say I'm going to find balance on my phone. I'm going to find balance of thinking about myself. No, I need to be tapped into the conversation. I need to be giving you as much as me as I possibly can, making sure that I'm paying attention. So we're going to, we're heading and leading the conversation in such a way where we're both benefiting from it, and other people listening potentially in the future, they can benefit from it. And if you're not really tapped into this one moment, if I'm thinking about 20,000 different other things, I'm not prioritizing this to be able to say the balance of my night in this conversation. I gave it that 100% prioritization. And then I could say the balance of my day was 50% this conversation or 20% work or whatever the case may be. But to me, it's like, that's the trueness of life. It's a focus and a prioritization of the things that you find to be valuable and the things that you're trying to balance. But that's never going to be 100% of all things at all times, 100% of the time. It's not practical. It's not real. And that's, again, it's about accountability. It's about trying to find a way forward into growth that is less mistake ridden and less infant oriented. Because in the past I've given myself a pass on the things that I wasn't doing well because I had 2 or 3 different things that I was doing. So I forgave myself too quickly without having to realize I need to grow from this and learn from this. Because it's like, what did you want me to do? I was busy. I was doing this. Like I was doing that. You should have knew. You should have, like, again, whether it was to myself or the person I was with, or giving myself a forgiveness for not doing a job that I wanted to do as good as I wanted to do it. It was because I used trying to find balance as an excuse for doing a bad job or not doing 100% or not caring 100% or not listening 100% because I was doing something else. And not realizing what you need to do is just like, okay, in this moment, I need to give you 100% of me and be imbalanced towards you or imbalanced towards work to get the result that I needed out of it, to get to the next stage, to unlock that next puzzle piece, to get to that one, mile further along in the journey. So I think that's a part of it too. Yo, just somebody hitting you up right there. What's up? We need something.
Yeah. No, I'm getting calendar invites. They're just popping in
right now. We need you at this.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, man, I'm here, yeah, man, nah, this is definitely like one of the things that like I have always appreciated about our conversations is that there's no ego, right? It's very straightforward, candid. This is what I'm thinking kind of conversations that for me, as somebody who also is like, I feel like I'm an expert conversationalist because
I really think I'm bad at this shit.
nah, bro, you're not.
I have a long way to go. I love it.
Yeah, no, like I consider myself that because it's like I enjoy, like you talk about like, yo, if I could do this for the rest of my life, man, I'm the same way. You know what I mean? Like if I could just have conversations with people and get to know them all day, like that's what I would do. And I think that's part of the reason why I do the work that I do, you know what I mean, in my full-time work. But like the discovery of new ideas, the exchange of different thoughts, the ability to communicate at a level that is just not surface level. You talked about like frivolous conversation. Like I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Like
I can't
don't waste my time.
I can't even
like,
do
it.
Yeah, people like, yo, strangers can ask me how you are, and I'll tell them everything. Like, this is what's really going on. This is the shit in my mind.
Right. And that's just how I'm wired. You know what I mean? So like when you meet other people who come from that same frame of thinking, it's like a fresh breath of fresh air. Excuse me. Like you're thinking to yourself like, damn, like cool. Whew.
Yeah.
You take my jacket off. Let me get comfortable real quick. You know what I mean? Like, because this is a good conversation. I know that I'm going to be in it for a while.
Think about it. Like you have the same. I understand the frivolous conversation may be shorter, but if I'm going to be telling this person for 10 minutes to ask me a question. What would I rather give them? 10 minutes of real or 10 minutes of fake? It's going to be the same 10 minutes, right? Why not make it something that has value? Because you may get something from them or vice versa that one of you guys needed in that moment. So the universe put y'all both together. God put y'all both together in this one time, and you just want to share nothing. It's like, that's not even using your time wisely. Like, why waste it? I feel like I get the most out of life. The most I'm going to learn in my entire existence, as in everything, is from a person, right? Whether from their products or from them themselves. Why would I waste that time being with someone when I know there's jewels to be unearthed there, things to dig into, and just be talking about the fucking weather if the weather ain't what we're trying to dig into? I'm not a fucking meteorologist. Like, I mean, what are we talking about the weather for? I don't give a fuck. Oh, it's raining. All right, cool. So how was your day? It's raining. So how was your day though? What's really on your mind? Like, I want to have those conversations up to the point where people are comfortable, because I understand there's things that people are still processing, and everybody's not as comfortable processing in public as I may be. And that's been what I've learned through these conversations. It's like, if somebody asks me a question about anything, I'm damn near liable to answer it. And I've had to realize that you can't trust everyone with that information, because it's like inviting somebody into your house. Like, it's hard to get them out when you invite them into your life.
Yeah, that's real, man.
I haven't had that hesitancy, because I've, in my mind, been maybe a bit naive in the past of realizing that we're all humans. We're all navigating through shit. We're all making mistakes. We're all like going through this, right? But what I fail to realize is that when you're, just like when we discussed at the beginning of the conversation, because we're being recorded and other people are going to listen to it, and we have this format, we do things that we would normally do. Like, if we're talking on the phone, you'd be probably more liable to ask me a question. But because it seems like an interview, we feel like we're just here to answer, and vice versa. We play those roles. We get into roles. Or it's just like the same thing in life. We just get into what we expect. Or we're having this conversation now, and it's like, oh, well, I used to believe that I was a conversationalist. I used to believe, before I started doing this, that I was like having the best conversations with people, and I wanted to share that. And what I realized, there's a difference between having a conversation with someone that you know, and all those jumping off points already been had in past conversations for a year, and there's like an empathy and a vulnerability that's already been shared. You don't have to rehash things, and you guys just already have a base of information that you guys have amongst each other that other people don't know. And then it's like, okay, you're doing the podcast now. Oh, other people don't know that. They don't know where you're starting from. You have to let them into that world. You have to unfold that story brand new for them. You have to make them care all over again. You have to make them care about you all over again. And it's just been a humbling experience to know that the conversations I've seen on other podcasts, like a Joe Rogan, or, Dan Le Batard's show, or, Tim Dillon, like, these are my favorite people who I love hearing speak. And just others, it's like, it's so difficult to communicate and to really get that energy exchange from like a digital sort of space, or even in person. And I think we take our personal relationships for granted in that way, of how many things that you share with someone that you are friends with, that you guys vibe on and you guys create an energy with, and how much spark is created. Like, that's not with everybody. There's people who literally listening to this conversation right now who signed off 5 minutes ago, who stopped listening 10 minutes ago, who stopped listening 20 minutes ago. But we're both in it because we know there's value, because we know we care. But it's like trying to generate that same level of care into other people is so difficult to do. And I think that's the true art of it. That's the true art of conversation. That's the true conversationalist that I'm hoping to build into in the next few years. Because that's what I want to be able to do. Like, I listen to Joe Rogan podcast, and this man can create value and create a feeling of home, and creating a feeling of friendship, no matter which one of those 1,500 shows he's done. Like, if you pick up any of the last 1,000, you press a button and it's like you're there. And it's like, wow, how do you do that? How do you riff for 10 minutes about a subject? And then you realize how educated these people are, how much they read, how much they know segue, how much they know how to get questions with someone that they're talking about and share those conversations in a natural way. And like, again, that's a part of the journey. That's a part of the getting there that I'm excited about. But I've realized the ways in which people are talented and how much time that they've been putting in. And I just realized I got to put in that same amount of time. Right. It's a skill to be able to get you to a place where you want to talk about the thing that you haven't shared. It's a skill in you and a vulnerability, but it's a skill of being able to start a conversation where you would say, I was hurt and I had depression. And it's just like, I want to be able to create that space and be as inviting and honest to where other people are willing to invite me in and be honest with me as well. And
yeah. I think that you've done a phenomenal job thus far of being able to take all the filters off. You know what I mean? Like, even in our conversation, like, just being like, nah, nigga, you about to, we taking all the filters off. Like, we're going there. You know what I mean? You may not be ready for it, but as soon as you sat down in this chair and I press record, we're going there. Yeah. And being able to do that in a way where you're thoughtful about the conversation, but then you're also steering it in a way that lets people know that, like, there actually is like a format to it. Yeah, you're right. It is a skill set. And I'm even thinking back, like, man, I need to take back what I said about like being an expert conversationalist, because I'm like, an expert is a Joe Rogan, a Dan Le Batard, you know what I mean? Like, those are the experts. I may be well versed in how to have a conversation, but you're right. Like even in thinking about uh, just yeah, like you just being able to within a moment's notice, like knowing the segue and being able to take that conversation there. You know what I mean? And how educated you have to be on so many different topics, you know, on so many, and you have to be as your recall, you know, like your ability to recall that information, your ability to like accurately provide context into that, like whatever it is that you're talking about, the topic or whatever have you. That is definitely a skill set. And I am excited to see what that journey looks like for you, man, because you are somebody that has the ability to, like I said, just take the filter off. There's no filter with you. You know what I mean? Like if I ask you,
Forgetting
hey
bad,
man,
bro. Forgetting bad. It's a gift and a curse.
but it's a beautiful thing because it lets, as your friend, as your brother, somebody who like respects, admires, looks up to you, it is something that I'm inspired by, because it's like, oh yeah, Cleon, like I don't got to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna shoot it to me straight. I never have to worry about that, right? And that's a level of trust that I'm grateful towards, right? Because it lets me know that like there is a respect factor there where it's like, no, I'm gonna respect you enough to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Um, and that right there is an important piece, because there's so many different ways that whether we lie to ourselves or the people around us maybe are uncomfortable of sharing that uncomfortable truth, whatever the case is, like we do it, you know what I mean, because we don't want to hurt the people around us. But I think that one of the things that you've been able to do is um, you've been able to provide context and provide perspective and provide clarity, right? Like you provide clarity on subjects that once you're brought into it and you have an understanding of the scope, you're like, cool, let's go there.
Yeah.
And after the conversation, it's like I've had moments where I'm like, damn, just had a crazy ass conversation with Cleon. I got a lot to think about, you know? Um,
And it's those conversations though. And that's like what I'm trying to get to the essence of. It's like I know how phenomenal you and the people that I've had on and will have on are. And it's like, why not try to have the conversation that made me fall in love with you with everyone else? Why not have the conversation that made me friends with you with everyone else? I want to
mhm.
show your specialness. I want to show your depth. I want to show your vulnerability. Like that's what made me fall in love with you and those that love you. So like, why have any other conversation? That's just how I see it. Like, why have the conversation any other way? Why put up the filter? That's not the real you. Like, I understand in this day and age, like the crafting of an image is important. Not saying that you do this, but it's like it's not real. You know, it's like who you are. It's the moments of it's like I
Yeah.
judge people based on the moments of flaw or crack and whatever more than anything else, because it's the moments of imperfection that really show your perfection. It's the moments of doubt that show your resolve. It's the moments of struggle that show your grace. It's your moments of wisdom that shows how much more wisdom we have to get. Or the moments of ignorance that shows how much wisdom that we can get. Like that to me is the true human quality of all of this, the true sharing in all of this. I want to show that vulnerability. I think it's really what more than anything else defines us. I like to see the moments of the passion, the things that people love and they're consumed and imbalanced by, and and the things that they just consumed by, and the moments where they've like made a misstep, but they've picked themselves up and gotten to this more beautiful moment of it. Like I think of it's almost like life for me is trying to get to the top of the first, or like a hill, or like whatever it is. If you think about a hill, pushing a boulder up the hill, I think there's like a Greek allegory to it. And you just keep pushing this stone boulder up the hill, and you put up all this force in a period of time in your life, and then you get to the top of it. Oh my God, I made it! This top of the mountain. And then I like what I'm always looking forward to, what I had been in the past, is again being on that other side of the hill when it's the kinetic force. When you're going down and you're just like knocking opportunity after opportunity after opportunity down, And then what I failed to realize, because I went up a couple of hills in my life in my younger age over this past couple of years, damn, is this a bigger fucking hill? You know, and then you just like, and then you just look out in the distance, and what you realize all life is just a fucking wave of
Yeah.
hills that you're constantly and perpetually going up. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are bigger, some are smaller, and it's all it is. And it's like, if I know that's all life is, it's infinite growth, this infinite hills, these infinite wave of troughs and peaks. Why not show everything? Why not show the troughs? Why not show the peaks? What I'm gonna wait for you to be on the show when you're an international fucking DJ and you're Skrillex or Chase B or whomever. Is that like that's gonna be fantastic, and I want to get to there too. But I think there's even more beautiful. It's even more beautiful, like to have you on the show 5 times, and at every time it's a different hill that you're on, the different trough that you're on, the different peak that you're on, and then you see that entire journey. Like if we did 5 of these over the next 10 years, and each point
Right.
you're gonna be at a different place, and
Right.
that's the
Right.
true beauty. That's the true like non-highlight nature of life. And I think when people see more of that, we're more inclined to like show forgiveness. We're more inclined to have grace. We're more inclined to realize that, oh shit, someone had a whack fucking thought 5 years ago. I had a whack thought 5 years ago, but I kept learning. I chose to be better. Someone gave me grace. Someone gave me knowledge. And now in this moment, I know more. And for the moments that are to come, I will continue knowing more. And I think when we get away from that need to be perfect, and that we get back to being humans, there's more grace in it. There's more dialogue. There's more understanding. There's more, I don't know exactly what you know. So inherently, we're going to have disagreement. But through that disagreement, we can find more agreement and more understanding. And I think we're losing that in culture. You know, like for a perfect example, you are a faith-based person. You are a Muslim. I am not. But we are brothers. And we
Right.
share, we talk about faith. Because in me hearing about your faith, I find tools, I find teachings, I find value. Like, what is wrong about that? Like,
There
that's
isn't.
generally how I
I've never viewed it as being something inherently wrong. You know, if anything, I have observed it as a superpower because it is. I'm not built like everybody else. Not everybody's built like me, but the folks that I know that I connect to, we have something that connects us. And for us, it's that superpower of being able to recognize his game. You know what I mean? Like it's being able to understand that like when we talk like faith, right? There's going to be things that you're going to be able to teach me and things that I'm going to be able to teach you. And like I said, like there's no ego involved, right? Like for me, those are the types of relationships where I know that they are the most transformative and powerful because I know that I can have a moment of vulnerability and they can also have a moment of vulnerability with me as well. And there's no judgment or like precursor of like, oh man, you being soft, bro, or man, yeah, man, you good, bro. Like don't worry. Like it's like, nah, like I'm actually going through this shit. Like I want to address it. You know what I mean? And having people that can actually have the emotional intelligence to understand like, oh, okay, cool. Like he wants to address this. Let's go ahead and address this shit. You know what I mean? Because he wouldn't come to me if it wasn't for the trust that he has, right? Like, and I think about that all the time. Like when I think about the people that I have in my life that whether it's I've gotten in the way or they've gotten in the way of being able to get to that point, there was something there, something that like caused us to not get to that point. But in this situation, in my friendship and relationship with you, there isn't. You know what I mean? And I have no other option but to fully commit to that because I know what it looks like when there is that doubt, that questioning of like, yo, can I trust this person with this information? You know what I mean? Like, do I know that they're actually like in it for me or they in it for whatever reason that they're in it for them, you know? Um, and like I had to take a moment, man, because like you wrote something or you said something that I've always known, but I just have to remind myself, like everything is a choice. Everything. Every thought, every action, every inaction, it's all a choice. And like when I think about, you know, what this looks like for you in 10 years and what my life looks like in 10 years, like we are going to be the sum of all those choices, you know? And so the call to action is to continue to like put ourselves in a position where we're making wise choices as best as we possibly can, and know that like while we're not perfect beings, we're going to make mistakes, and that's just a part of the process. That's a part of the journey. Like, and to know that like you're going to have moments where you doubt yourself, and you're going to have moments where you're not sure that what you're supposed to be doing is this. And like, I always look at powerful moments like these as like a moment, like a way for us to be able to look back on, you know what I mean? Like you talk about 5 times over 10 years. I want to be able to look back on this conversation 5 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now, being able to say like, man, I was in a completely different headspace, but it all stemmed from that choice. You know, it all stemmed from being able to recognize the opportunities that are in front of you and making the wise choice to like pursue them. You know what I mean? Not allowing fear or pressure or sometimes the people around you or even yourself stop you from pursuing them, right? Recognizing that the choice of like, if it scares you, you should be going towards it anyway, like still stays true. You know, if it makes you uncomfortable, probably should be going that way anyway. You know what I mean? Because that's where the growth is. That's where the ability to like understand like your true life's purpose, I think happens. Like you it's on the other side of whatever makes you uncomfortable. It's on the other side of whatever makes you feel afraid. Like for me, I get really nervous when it's like podcast interviews, shit like this, because it's like I know I'm talking to a boy, but it's like, man, the idea of like, oh shit, like I got this is going to be recorded, and am I saying things right? Am I, you know, going back to our earlier conversation of like being a perfectionist, right? That's when those perfectionist tendencies come out. But it's like in talking it through, you just are like you start to realize, and as you get more well versed in like mediums like this, it's like nah, like it's about the progression, it's about the journey, it's about being able to continue moving forward, knowing that you are making choices every day where you're just getting a 1% better, man.
Yeah.
1% better, and everything's gonna compound from that.
And we're all doing the same thing. There's someone listening to this who's trying to get 1% better, whatever they're doing. Whether it's just 1% get better at listening. You know, and I just want to like acknowledge that grace. We're all trying to get there. You know, in our own ways, whether it's has nothing to do with creativity at all. It's just like we're all trying to get to that place of fulfillment, or that place of like, this is the thing that I want to do, to keep doing, to find joy in, to find love in, and keep like iterating on for the next however many days or years or whatever. And I feel the same exact way. Like every time I start this, it's like a balance between how much research do I want to do, or how do I want it to flow? Okay, let me have some questions on the side. And am I articulating myself better? Am I speaking too fast? Am I pronouncing my words properly? Is it, you know, like it's all this shit. Am I being too hood? Am I being too Jamaican? Am I allowing a person to speak long enough? Am I speaking long enough? Like, I mean, literally, it's all that shit is running through my mind constantly. And I just like, I'm gonna feel my way through it. And I'm not gonna psych myself out, because I know how I want it to feel. And if I know how I want it to feel, then I can create it. I can like take my feeling and create a vision from it. And from that vision, figure out the steps and work my way back, or work my way to. I don't care which direction I'm moving in, but I believe in that. Because that's the only thing I've ever done in life. And I'm like, I joke and say this to Josh, although I mean it. And you know, he's gotten intention. Joshua Kissy, that's what we're talking about. But I told him, like, when I was writing the book at the beginning of it, when it's like the only thing in life that I'm good at is telling the truth. I feel like it's the only talent I have is telling the truth. Like in those moments when I was telling you about like doubt, the only thing I thought that I was good at was telling the truth, and everything else is just an extension of me telling the truth. This podcast, the books that I do, you know, maybe I can tell the truth and I know what's good taste. But like even when I'm designing, it's about like what's the truest, most real version of this design that it should be. What works the best for people? What's going to bring them out the most amount of joy? And in a way, that's the truth. And I just keep like iterating from that. I don't think I'm a writer. Okay, great. Write the truest thing you can write, the thing with the most emotion, and then try to write a paragraph before that. Okay, how did the true feeling start? How did the feeling after the true feeling start? Okay, what's the next intense feeling? And that's how I write. That's how I do everything. I try to find the most intense emotions that I know other people have had because they're human as well, and then work around that and expand from there. But if I have the strong feeling, if I have the intention, if I have the energy that I'm trying to communicate, I know everything's going to be okay, no matter how cluttered and fucked up and mistake ridden and problematic and imperfect it's going to be. And because I believe in people and I believe in myself that they're going to give me enough grace to get better. I just believe that.
That is amazing, man. Like, we've got this thing in our culture where we talk about truth tellers, right? People who are put on this earth for the purpose of telling the truth. And the truth is subjective, right? It's an objective thing, you know what I mean? Or subjective thing, but we've turned it into this objective thing, right? Because we feel like, oh, we have the truth, right? And like we talk about it as though it's like this final product, this final thing, but it doesn't allow for the space for there to be multiple truths to exist, which is what I've discovered is actually real. You know, like through my own journey of being able to understand the world around me, that's you can like being a faith-based person, like being a Muslim, like you can come from a Muslim background, you can come from a Christian background, you can come from a Judaist background, you can come from a Buddhist background. It don't matter. Like the truth is your truth, right? But I think the thing that like I admire so much about what you're saying is that you're not willing to relinquish what that actually is, right? Like that truest, rawest emotion, and being able to touch on it in a way that is transformative. Like I'm sitting here thinking about the book, man, and I'm like, what were some of the passages that just like struck me? You know what I mean? And I think about like the time that you were talking about being in Arizona and what that experience was like for you, and like being there, you know what I mean? Like visually, I know that the book has like some amazing visuals. Shout out to Adrienne because she did an amazing job with that. What I was drawn to the most through that book though was like your words and like how like the visuals of Adrienne's work and your work came together to make this like perfect marriage of like, yo, I'm there. I'm in Arizona with Cleon. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the moment with him, you know what I mean? And just reading it and being so struck by like how in your imperfections, like you're creating a world where you're being able to tell your truth. That to me is like the illest shit ever, man. Like to be able to see that and to know that it is a work of your life for me is like, yo, that I can't, that it's very, very difficult to put into words how powerful that is, you know what I mean? And how inspiring something like that is, because you know that like, there's no fake around it. You know what I mean? Like it's Clayon's truth, and I respect you and who you are. So I know that what you're telling the world is coming from that space, you know? And that is to me the illest shit ever, man. And I love that, bro. I'm happy for you, man.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. I mean, everything you said right there was like the intention of it. Just trying to, written and visually, bring somebody in a space that was real, you know, but yet using multiple different poetic elements and written elements and, you know, the words to translate that in the strongest way possible, using a variety of different sort of writing styles, whether essay, poetry, or otherwise. But it was just trying to capture something, really trying to like capture a moment, like how could I make someone feel like how I felt in that moment in the most honest, genuine way. And that's another like beauty of writing, another like magic to it, you know, of like being able to communicate and translate, because everything doesn't have to happen like this. Sometimes it is through words that people find a lot of meaning in that quietness of their mind, and words from someone else where they gather a lot of like energy and thoughts and, you know, kind of find meaning in it. And I'm just glad that you felt that, and I'm glad that I translated that. And definitely, there's gonna be more writing in the next ones to come over the next couple of years. But um, like the funny thing about that book is that shit was it was almost like too real because there's loops in it. Like I'm unfortunately living
You mean loops? What you mean by loops?
everything that's happening in that book is happening now in a way other than the travel aspect of it. Like it's from an emotional perspective because I wrote it as I was processing. Like there's stuff written in that book that I literally wrote 6 weeks before the book got here. But I wrote it almost in a way where it was final. But I realized the truth in it, but I was still processing through those emotions. Like when I say, you have to love somebody for who they really are, you know, not who you imagine them to be or what they can be for you or whatever the case may be, but like for who they really are, for their dreams, the things they want, how they see the world, where they want to go, period. Like stuff like things like that are things that I still had to process through as I was going through. Like if I could write that book and add some more stuff into it, I would want to talk about forgiveness. I would want to talk about being imbalanced, of how I realized looking back on it, I was imbalanced throughout the process of making the book, not being as attentive to my relationship as I should have been. How almost in the process of creating the book, I was losing the love while talking about love. There's been a lot of rebuilding that's been happening, a lot of like difficult, challenging conversations that have happened from this book. Like to birth that shit, it took almost losing a love to talk about love because it was such a draining and again, going back to an imbalance. That's why I can speak to it so clearly. I lost almost everything during that book. And probably in the process of still trying to hold on to those things because of the tension that it caused. Because of the traveling, the moments, how imbalanced I was, that my irritability, because I was working so much, not sleeping, not being a good enough partner, not being a good enough friend, losing touch with people, becoming isolating. And that's the real cost of all of this shit that I think people need to talk about. Like the cost of something is never its price. It's all the other things you lose in trying to create it. Oh, great, I created a book.
Ooh,
You gotta,
wait a minute.
what?
Wait a minute. We're not gonna slide right past that because that's a nugget.
What?
The cost of everything is not what?
Oh, the cost of something is not its price. It's the cost of everything that you have to put in and potentially lose to make it.
And I gotta write
You don't
that
hear,
one
you don't hear,
down, bro.
you don't hear about the challenging conversations that I was having in my relationship and trying to make that book. How annoyed I was at times in taking that out on my partner. How annoyed I made her. How like the vice versa of it. Like the sort of like negative, insecure force that went into moments of creating that book because you're unearthing negative, insecure feelings. And then you're like replicating that in your reality because you're trying to find the true feeling and emotion in it. You're writing about insecurity, but you're feeling insecure writing about it. And then you're in a relationship becoming insecure because you're writing about insecure shit. And then having that person having to deal with you as you're going through that sort of balance of that creative balance, that give and that pull, like that alone needs to be like a conversation point of how to
Right.
keep hold on to things as you're trying to create other things. So when I talk about being a person that can only seemingly destroy and not build, I meant that shit. I meant that in the moment that I was writing it, in the time that I was writing it in, and talking about the moment that I felt that I was destroying shit at the time in the past. And that's what I talk about loops of like, I'm talking about destroying some shit in the past, and yet I'm in the moment destroying something because I'm talking about something that I'm trying to create in the present, but it's from the past.
Right.
So when I talk about getting to a place of I'm never going to find peace or actualization or be comfortable until I get to that place of being able to wake up in grace, until I'm at a place where I feel like I don't have to constantly destroy in order to create. When I have enough built up, when I push that rock up that hill enough to where I have enough like kinetic force where I can create, and not just have to like destroy things as I try to create. I want to be an alchemist and not just have to like be a destroyer and then take the rubble and build a beautiful house out of some shit that I destroyed, and constantly reusing relationships and reusing people and reusing my energy to in a negative way to create something positive. And like that's that when I'm talking about learning, like those are the things I'm learning. How to be graceful throughout the entire creation process and not have to go to a dark place to try to find positivity or trying to find a creation. Like again, when I say like I remember being at those moments trying to create that book and being like, hey, yo, I don't want to do this because I know I'm going to become a horrible person. Telling that to to Adrian in those moments and being like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Like, and not bad for me, but bad for you, because I know the person I become when I'm trying to create something. I know how imbalanced I'm going to be. I know like how that Kobe moment is going to happen when people are talking about like, I just went to the gym, I had to get 3,000 shots. I wasn't like, when people have to thank their partners because they know like there was that partner being at home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, holding shit down when I just wasn't there. I wasn't present. I was in a daze. I was looking at film. I know what that feels like, even on my own small level, because I've only, again, found any sort of success through sacrifice, through a destruction of self to be able to create something else from myself.
Yeah, but do you think that
I don't want to do that anymore.
well, that's what I was going to ask was
Yeah.
like, do you think that in the process of destroying yourself, that rather than like looking at it as like this like negative thing, and I don't know like all of like what that looks like for you in that process, right? But I remember checking in with you during the process of like you writing the book, and I'm wondering like, in the process of destroying yourself, man, is it a negative thing or is it like a phoenix?
It becomes a phoenix, but
You know what I'm saying?
it becomes a phoenix.
Because like because the reality is that like as you are, to me, this is my interpretation of it. The reality of it is that like as you're destroying these old parts of yourself, you're coming into a new understanding of who you are. So you're becoming your own personal phoenix, right? And then from that, everything is able to kind of, you're able to prioritize the things that you've been neglecting, right? That's why there's an off season, right? That's why there's a period of time where you can take time to like work on those things, but then get back into the swing of things. And when the season starts, you're that much more refined. You're that much more prepared. You know what I mean? Like I look at that as kind of being I've always interpreted as like the cost of greatness. Like you're right, you have to sacrifice, you know what I mean? And in doing so, you build out like a level of partnership, a level of communication with your partner where you're able to evenly flow, you know what I mean? Like there's one of the like there's a process that I use in my relationship with Rahel where it's like I know that there are going to be things that I am terrible at, you know what I mean? But you're great at. Let me do what I need to do to like learn from that, and so that we can both level set together and be at a place where we're able to like work together towards whatever it is that we're doing. But when it comes to creating like great works of art, I wonder, do you feel as though finding that balance and like communicating with your partner makes it tougher to do because you're so like in the moment and in the zone? Or do you feel like it's like a complete like, yo, I'm here, you're there, I just got to stay here right now type
I
joint, you know?
the thing I had to learn was not to do the latter part of what you just said. The I'm here, you're there, and losing that connection and not communicating fully. Like you're talking, but you're not saying this is exactly how I feel. And that's that
Mm.
second level of conversation that I think in any relationship you eventually get to. It's like, this is what I was talking about, but like this is what I meant to say. Like, so I think we were both on different sides when it came to that. But it's like you said, the cost of greatness, right? So I'm paying the cost of greatness to be great, right? But what the reality of that is, just in anything in life, is that everyone around you is paying that cost for your greatness. And if you don't have everyone on that same sort of like
They're
sacrifice
on
level,
board, where they're on board for it.
it doesn't work. And you have to,
Yeah, you're right. You're
people
right.
think that it just comes with it, but it doesn't. Like you have to tell somebody, and that they have to be willing to fully understand, and vice versa. You fully understand what they're giving up to
Right.
make you great, or for you to be, for y'all to both be great. Because there's going to be different moments in a relationship where someone else is going to need their time, and they're going to be trying to work on their greatness, and you got to
That's
give.
what I was going to say. I was gonna ask about that too,
But,
because
but but I think that cost is something I really want to expand on, because what I've realized, just like in I guess most of the ways life is set up, is that it becomes like this sort of like vacuum, and and you just consume all these things and people and resources or whatever to like transmogrify, translate, or transform that into something that's beautiful. But it's everything that goes into your relationships, your family, your money, your resources, your time, your love, your insecurities, your feelings, your thoughts, your health, your body, it's all of you, everything that is and everything that's an extension of you. If you're truly trying to be great at something or do something that's difficult, that has to go into that vacuum, that has to go into that thing that you're trying to like transform to get to the other side. And sometimes, just to be frank, just to be honest, people don't want to talk about this shit, but everything that you put in doesn't come out. Sometimes it gets lost in the vacuum, or sometimes it gets pushed out the vacuum, or sometimes people don't want to go to the other side with you because they know how horrible it was in that vacuum with you. And it's just the reality of it.
I think the kids call that being lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. But I mean,
lost in the sauce, and I think that is absolutely, like, everything that you said is 100% real, because there comes a point where it's like, yo, do you have people that are on board, you know what I mean, through everything, and you're willing, and I think it's important because like, we often talk about the things that we're receiving, but I also think it's important for like us to like focus on or explore what it looks like to be there for our partners as well, you know what I mean? Because when you are exhibiting transformative love and you're exhibiting a love that you maybe haven't seen, right? Or don't know about, but you're just following a feeling of what that vision looks like, right? I wonder oftentimes what that looks like for the women in our lives, because they've done what they needed to do to sacrifice and be there for us. The question that I oftentimes find myself wondering about is, am I doing enough on my end to make sure that I'm pouring into that well the same way that that well is being poured into me? You know what I mean? And like, never forgetting that, like, even in the moment of like, all right, I'm focused on like the product and what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, that's there. You know what I mean? That you never want to neglect what that is, because you know how precious and how much you cherish it. You know what I mean? You know how precious it is and how much you cherish that. So it's like, what does that look like for you? You know what I mean? In terms of your approach and how you kind of go at it.
I was neglecting that. That's the lesson I had to learn. But sometimes the thing about certain lessons is that you don't get a chance to, you don't get it, not for everybody. And again, I'm not trying to speak to the existence of where we are right now in the relationship, but it's like what I found in like this year of like trying to pour more into her, trying to get back to myself, trying to acknowledge those things. And like, you don't always get the chance to take back certain things that you did, whether it was arguments or mistakes or moments when you could have been more present that you weren't because you were tired. And it's, it's just like, again, I didn't understand the imbalance. I was trying to be balanced. Oh, if I haven't slept, think about it. This is an example of it. If I pull an all-nighter because of work, whether I'm doing my day job or my job, and I know I'm gonna work, you have an event the next day, but I'm like trying to cram to get the things that I need to get done to be there for your event. In my mind is I'm cramming to be at a thing for you, that to be there, right? This is the other side of that. A part of it is not just you showing up and being present. I mean, a part of it is not you showing up. It's about being present. So if I cram and get it done, but I'm fucking tired as hell, yawning, not myself, not engaged, not at the event actually, right? Did you really even show the fuck up? That's what I had to learn. You were there, but guess what? You weren't actually there, because it's not what you do that day, it's what you do the day before. If you want to be present for the next day, the day that matters, get to sleep the night before. Be present in the moment. It's like those are the things that I was learning. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to do everything and be everything, not realizing that I should have been aware of my priorities, been aware of my imbalance, and said, because I know I'm going to be imbalanced, I can't do this work tonight because I have to do the thing and be 100% tomorrow. So I was giving 30 and 30 and 30% and 10% of this and 50% and 50%. And I wasn't showing up 100 in those moments. That's the shit that I wasn't getting and have realized this year. But it's like you give somebody 100 one day, 50% that day, 30% another day, 20% one day, 80% another day. And I understand those are arbitrary numbers. Their feeling of your consistency takes a hit. Their trust in your consistency takes a hit. And it's hard to prove to somebody that I'm going to be here 100 more than I was in the past. And it's going to take time to build that back up. And that's what I've been trying to build. And I don't know if I'm going to get an opportunity to build that, because it just may be something that's ingrained in someone's mind. And that goes to friendships as well, not just to keep it to my relationships. There's been friends I didn't see for like a year, and I'm just reconnecting with them now. 2 years, because I'm reconnecting with them now. And it's like, of course, because they're friends and it's not that intimate. They're more liable to forget. But it's like when you miss important shit, like, mom was in the hospital, and it's like, yeah, why don't you call me? I thought you were busy, because you became that busy. You became the busy nigga. I always pick up my phone. I'm always present, but it's like there's a difference between. I mean, I'm always picking up the phone. I'm always available, but it's like not being present. That's the shit that I was just off on. Realizing I need to be 100% in my presence, and I'm always like, if I don't got it, like, why? Like, there's a balance between trying to like fit it in, and then you're only talking to somebody for like 30 minutes or 20 minutes when you need to be talking to them for the hour. You're not asking the right questions because you don't want to have a 3-hour conversation with them. And it's like, oh, if I'm not going to do that, then why do you even call them? And then that becomes a week, then that becomes a month, and it becomes a year. And I've just been trying to find the right priorities. And that's why when I talk about, I can't wake up and being like, look in the mirror, like, today's a great day, everything's okay. Because it's like, I know I want to have more time. I want to have the time to talk to my people and talk to my friends, and pour into my relationships the way I want to, and pour into my family the way I want to, and then pour in myself the way I want to. It's like, you can't do that shit when you work 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day some days, working on weekends for some job that's meaningless.
Right.
I'm going to always be bitter and always be off-center because of that. And I'm never going to find.
Yeah, man. But I think that like, I would challenge that, if things aren't moving in the direction and in the way that you need them to, right? Everything is a choice, right? Everything flows from choice, right? So like, I think that if you understand that you're in a space where the value of your time is being taken over by something that you don't find value in, you have free will. Like, I know you said that you're not, I know you say you're not you're not a person that's like a religious person, but I know you to be a spiritual person at some level, you know what I mean? And we have free will, bro. So like, you have the ability to say, fuck you, I'm out.
That's been the lesson. That's been the
lesson. You
know
what I'm saying?
That's been
like, and everything flows from being able to understand that, like, man, if there are things like, one of the things I realized, man, like last year, I was in a really, really tough space because like, I felt like I was pouring way too much into so many things that I wasn't taking any time for myself. And I got real bitter, got real resentful, started like exhibiting behaviors and habits that they didn't line up with who I was. You know what I mean? I kind of got jaded by it. You know what I mean? And what I realized was like, I don't got to deal with this. This is a choice. I'm pouring myself into something that is literally causing me the things that I don't want to exist in my life. Remove it. Yep. Like, remove it out of my life. Like, and that's what I did. I removed it out of my life. And then a year later, like, I'm in a space where it's completely different. And I'm grateful for the lessons that I learned in that, because it let me know how resilient I actually am, right? How powerful my being actually is. But more than anything else, it was like the power of choice was the lesson. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you're telling me that like, yeah, like I'm locked into this thing because of X, Y, and Z thing, cool, I bet. You know what I mean? When that time comes and it's time to go, there should be no conversation around it. Like, why it has caused you all of the strife in your life that you've had. Now you have the ability to choose red pill, blue pill, which one you gonna choose. You know what I'm saying? And like, and even in understanding that like every day is like it's hard to like wake up and be like, yo, every day is a good day. Like, I think manifesting that is also a part of it. It all ties into intention. You know what I mean? Like if you don't wake up every morning and try to understand what is something that is going to be good, that's going to come of the day, and like you set that intention, you're going to find yourself deeper and deeper in the hole and not actually able to like materialize the happiness and the joy and the success and all of the things that come that bring you pureness and pure happiness. You know what I mean? They're not going to exist because every day your perspective is, well, shit, it's this one thing and I'm dealing with this one thing and I'm continuing to deal with this one thing. It's hard for me to like find happiness and joy in this one thing. So everything else gets affected as a result of it, right? Whereas if you wake up in the morning and it's just like, cool. Like one of the things that I started doing, man, and this is actually a huge shout out to Rahel. She's been pushing me to do this every day, is like taking like the first like 15 minutes of the morning and like having a moment of like self-love and like meditation, like a self-love and gratitude, like meditation session. So like I'll spend the first 15 minutes in bed, literally like looking up at the ceiling, and I'll just think about like what was yesterday like? What were the lessons that yesterday taught me? What are the intentions that I have for today? How do I want to pursue it? And how do I come from a place of like flowing in love, right? And it's had transformative power over me, man. Like what I've been able to realize is that like, you know, when it comes to like the dreams that I have, like we talk about DJing, like cool, like I know that I can pursue that, and I know that it's going to be a step-by-step process, 1% better every day. Cool. Like I know that I love to write. Like you writing that book inspired the fuck out of me because I've always wanted to write a book, never knew how to do it, never knew anybody like close enough to be able to ask them like, hey, how do you write a book? Now I know. I can go directly to you and be like, hey bro, like how do I do this? You know what I mean? So that's something I think about. I think about like the work that I'm doing. Like how am I making the world of tech better? You know what I mean? By just being my one individual person, like, and trying to affect change. You know what I mean? Affect a difference from things that I didn't grow up seeing. You know what I mean? And how do I make that impact happen? Like it flows. And I know that like we're all dealt a different set of cards. You know what I mean? And I know that I don't know the full picture and story of like the story of Cleon Gray, right? But I do know, based on the man that I see in front of me, that it didn't kill you. It made you strong as fuck. And you are more powerful and more graceful than you probably give yourself credit for, right? But that doesn't happen if you don't have those mirrors in front of you. And that's the thing that like you've done a really great job of, is like having friendships with folks that put that mirror right back at you and be like, nah, bro, I'm not about to sit here and listen to you tell yourself that. Like, nah, that ain't it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tell you like, nah, bro, that ain't it.
I'm gonna work on it, man. I'm gonna work on that morning thing. Like, I mean, that's even something that Adrian's, told me. She's always big on. She's always been big on the manifestation stuff. It's like, and she's right. It's just like you're trying to rewire a different sort of brain, because my entire life has been, like I said before in the beginning of the conversation, has been like one where I like created my entire existence from scratch for myself. Like no one said do this at any point in time in my life, other than like on some discipline shit. But like no one gave me the nuggets to be the person I am. I really put it together. And because of that, it's been one of like a lot of struggle. Like I'm an immigrant. Like I'm right now born in Jamaica, came to this country, and like everything I've done has been literally just like on my own. There was nobody who gave me, there was no handouts at any point in time in most people's existence. So like I just had this thing in my brain of like life is the grind, right? Like don't like the grind. And there's something about, I really can't explain it. Hopefully I can say this well, but there's something about having to, I'm a person that I think fundamentally at my core is an artist. I want to be someone who's free flowing, smoke weed, do edibles, chill, be on the beach, with toes in the sand, no shirt on, chill. Like if someone said your idea, like I've had my ideal life, because when I had the most amount of money, the most amount of freedom, I did the thing. I went on adventures, met new people, blah, blah, blah. That's one that I had all the power. I could have bought, I didn't have Lamborghini money, but I could have bought a car or some stupid shit or whatever, or just bought some jewelry or bought a jacket or nah, I'm going to go on a spiritual journey. Like that told me everything about myself, that I was the person that I know I am. And it's about trying to get to that, a little bit of that every day. And I know that. So I may have moments during the day where I'm like, yo, this is a dope vibe that I'm on right now. Like during the day, listen to music, listen to a podcast. I may feel that vibe. It may not be like an intentional moment of like 15 minutes paying attention, being graceful. Like there's nights when I go to bed where I just like after the shower, it's just like, yo, today was a good day. Thank you for that. I do that, whether it's for a minute or 15 seconds or whatever, but it's never like an intentional time. But it's something about, to go back to what I wanted to say, it's something about that struggler survivor mindset that I have that's so ingrained in me that it's difficult to know when to leave things, difficult to know when to quit, difficult to know when to put things down. Because it's like, I made my entire existence from not ever putting the shit down. Oh, this is hard? Perfect. I want it to be harder. Like literally, like bro, I live in a building, I got an elevator and I take the steps to the 7th floor every day. Like, it's just, and it's weird. I don't know. It's just something inside of me where it's like, I'm preparing for some hardest shit and I must steel my brain to do only hard things because hard things are going to come. And there's moments where I realize I need to just be like, yo, bro, you can do it. You don't got to prove to nobody that you can do it. Just put it down. Why do the hard thing and go crazy and lose your mind that you don't want to do when it's a choice that you don't have to do it? You have choices. And I believe in that. I believe we all have abundance. But it's just something about needing to prove to myself that I can do the hard thing and I don't want to quit. That it's hard for me to negotiate sometimes. And I've been learning on it. I've been working on it.
But like that's like, and that's literally the point is like, one, who are you proving it to? You're not proving it to nobody but yourself.
Yep.
Dog, have you not proven it enough to yourself already? Everything that you've done up until this point has gotten you to this point. You know what I'm saying?
Thinking about the destination, then it ain't about this moment. That's why I had to get myself process oriented.
And that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's like everything that you've done up until this point has gotten you to this point. So are you like living out on the streets? No. Like, are you in a place where you can't provide for yourself? No. Are you in a place where you can't help out when needed? No. Okay, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why like that conversation when you were talking, I forget who the interview was with, but you were talking about getting back to the simple shit, man. That's what it means to me. It's like, well then, how do we get back to the simple shit if we're not willing to take the most complex thing, which is ourselves, out of the equation? Like, get out of your own way. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I've struggled with too, because it's like I've had so many moments where I've gone in my own way, and it's like, you know, oh man, like, nah, bro, it was this or it was that, and it's, nah, you just got in your own way, and it's not to knock that struggle, because it is a struggle. It is a journey that you have to come to a place of peace and understanding of, but at its core, man, like, if you're choosing to go through that and do that every day, it's like, what do you have to prove, fam?
Right. And I guess that's something that, you know, we both can keep. If we're doing it every day,
I keep with that all the time, man. It's like, who do I have to prove anything to? My parents love me. My family loves me. My girl loves me. Like, my friends love me. Like, I got nothing to prove to nobody. All I got to do is just pursue the thing that makes me happiest. And if I'm not pursuing the thing that makes me happiest, I'm neglecting and disrespecting the gift. And the gift is it's different for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their own gift that they're put on this earth to discover and like give to the world. It's not for you. You know what I mean? Like, your gift is not for you. It's for the world to be able to like look at and be like, all right, this is the contribution that Ish and Cleon gave to the world. You know what I mean? And that's how I approach it, is like, if I'm neglecting and disrespecting the gift, then I'm disrespecting my maker, and I can't have that. So I have to do everything in my power to get back to a place where I'm living in that free will space, you know what I mean? Where I'm not bound by anybody's expectations or my own expectations. Like, I've found that, like, during this pandemic, man, I've surprised myself. You know what I'm saying? Like moments where I like didn't think that I was gonna be able to like overcome something, and it's like, oh shit, I just surprised myself. I didn't think that I actually could do that anymore, you know? And I don't know, man. I feel like there's moments in our journeys that have us like, it's just like you just get hit in the back of the head and you're like, all right, I'm alert. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm up. Like, you know, and I had that moment. And so like I don't want you to ever think that you can't um pursue what that understanding of peace and happiness and joy is by your definition, man, and think that you're not worthy of it or capable of it. You know what I mean? Like you are. You know, we got that same immigrant refugee
Bro, I believe
background, bro. Like we know what that life is
I'm
like. You know what
thinking
I'm
straight.
saying?
I'm talking about like everything you're saying is fantastic, and I 100% agree. I'm saying like when you talked about like that hitting the back of the head of being like, now we alert. I feel like I'm there all the time. That's the shit that I need to like de-escalate. Like that sort of like we ready? Where's the next challenge? Let's go. Like I'm always, I just it's a hyper focus on the struggle, and I just need to be able to like today's a beautiful day. Enjoy it. It's a beautiful moment. Enjoy it. And I feel like I only get there when like the other things are more actualized. And maybe other people, I hope that's not the case. That's something that I am actually working toward. Is not like a moment because things are a little bit lighter. Because I feel like over the past 3 to 4 months, I've been really, really good once I identified it clearly where it was coming from. I just want to keep moving. I don't want it to be 3 or 4 months. I want it to be 3 or 4 years. And I want it to be 30 or 40 years. I want it to be this. I just want to start building these things into a practice, building these things into a lifestyle, building these habits into things that have been identified and they put into practice, and then they become a part of who I am. And that's the stage that I'm at right now. The identification is there, and now it's the process to actualization and becoming a practice human being. But like you said, we all need to, myself included, probably myself the most, have to give ourselves a little bit more grace and realize we are doing the work and we are getting there and we are on the journey, and the journey is beautiful and the destination is only a product of the journey. And after the destination, funny enough, guess what? There's actually another destination.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
never ending.
It's never ending, bro.
Anyway, so like the whole shit is a fucking journey. So just realize you're on a journey anyway, and stop worrying about where you're going, because the only true destination is death. You know what I mean? If you made it, like it's probably over, and then it's another destination anyway, more than likely. So it's like, you know, I just been at that place, just trying to give myself a little bit more, and hopefully give unto others a bit more. And damn, it's getting late, so I just want to maybe wrap up by just saying, thank you for your time, thank you for sharing in a real genuine way. Like this is the conversation. I've had a couple of them at different moments, but like I think the totality of this conversation has been what I've been trying to get at. A space where it feels like we're talking to a friend, and it's going both ways, and it's revealing, and it's about the art, and it's about the process, and it's about the things that you're doing, and the talents and the people. But like, this is what I've been trying to create, this sort of energy, and not just, again, if you want, not just about me, but about like us, this sort of togetherness. And
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for being the person I always say that you are, a brother, someone who's tapped in, someone who's tuned in, someone who's aspirational, but someone who is more than anything else just like just a good person who's trying to be a great person. So I just
I
want to say
appreciate
thank
that, man. Thank you. Sorry. You ever have those moments where you like have some water and then it goes down the wrong
you. Yeah,
tube?
yeah, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah, like one of the things that I've long understood about myself is that I've always been quick to respond, right?
Mhm.
Always quick to respond to things. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to take my time and not worry about being rushed
Mhm.
in my responses. And in doing so, one of the things that I've learned is that like there is power in truly listening to people, man. And one of the things that I always love when I talk to you is that I learned so much just by kicking back and just listening.
And vice versa.
Just right here. Just I'll be on the phone with you, bro, and I'll literally be sitting in this chair like this, like and that is the type, those are the type of people, that is the type of energy that I pray I continue to attract, because these are the relationships that help you understand different parts of yourself and are able to give you wisdom and clarity. Like I told you, man, that is the gift that you have. You are one clarity type motherfucker, bro. Like you just you,
Good and bad. Good and bad. That's what I gotta say. It's good and
you
bad.
just you just know how to get there. And when you have people in your life, man, that provide that type of clarity, um, you've got to do your part to continue to just pour into that and see what comes of it. And I'm grateful, man. Thank you for inviting me on. Thank you
Man.
thank you for
Legendary. This is legendary conversations right now, man. It's legendary. It's a big one.
I appreciate that, man. For real. It means a lot to me that you reached out and was like, hey man, I want you to be a guest on the podcast. Like
This
that
is
for me is
why. This is why. Like, this is why. It's like you don't get this from everybody. You know, I think the people that I know, the conversations that I've had with you, I know that we can go there. We can give someone something different. I listen to podcasts day in, day out for like years. All I've done, like being on my computer, do my little design shit, and it's just hours. I mean, like today, I listen to probably 8 hours of podcast easily, probably more, probably 10, right? Just today. That's not a normal day, unless I'm doing a lot of writing. I've never heard this conversation from just men, two black men talking about this, art, life, relationships, actualization, their views on it's just like you don't see, we don't get it, we don't get an opportunity often as black folks, brown folks, to be able to talk about our processes. I had like an old friend of mine, she said, she was a person who's accustomed to being on stages and getting awards. She said, look at, not to make this even racial, but just to make it a point. Look at white men when they're accepting awards. They're never rushed.
no.
They speak.
Never.
They take their time because they believe they earned it. They believe that what they have said, what they say has value. They know they can speak slowly because you will wait.
Mm-hmm.
They claim their space. This conversation, I don't know how long we've been going, but 2.5 hours, two black men talking, and we don't have fucking Rolls Royces and Bentleys and awards. That has value to me. I want to show that I believe that I deserve 2.5 hours or whatever time that we've been talking of your time. To be able, and not just yours, but those that are listening, because we have things to share, and everyone should feel that way. You are living, you are a master. As you know, I'd spoken to Dynasty a couple of days ago. You are a master of your manifestation. We are masters of our own lives. And we need to realize that as you got the Lakers thing in the background, we are the champions of our own lives. We are the superheroes of our own stories.
Yeah,
There's power in that. There's power in patience. There's power in, the process. But more than anything else, we are the masters of our own lives. We have the choice to make this fucking existence as great or as horrible as we want to. And just like we've been talking about framing that when you wake up, taking time for meditation, taking time for grace, taking time for acceptance, admitting to flaws, admitting to forgiveness, forgiving yourself, moving on, growing. Like that's a part of the journey that's even more important than talking about like, I finally did the Coachella gig. Because it's going to be all these conversations and all the things that you do up to that that's going to get you there, just like we've been talking about.
Right.
Just like when I want to be on my 1,000 podcast flex, it's going to be doing these and getting there, and then getting to, okay, I want to make sure that I get that ish energy back in the next ones and move forward. And that's exactly what I'm thinking about. It's this going through it. And I believe that's really what this whole experience is about. This whole sharing experience, this whole life experience. It's about showing the mundane and realizing that's the only thing that matters. All this other shit is an illusion. We've been doing this thing for the longest period of time. Hey, I have a story. Hey, here's my life. Here's my day. That's the most fundamental thing in life more than anything else. Here's something I know, or I think I know, or I want to know, or I'm feeling, or I need that I want, and vice versa. And we have that exchange. and then we build civilizations, and then we build societies, and then we build technology, and then we build phones. Everything else is an extension of this. Period. Everything started here.
I love it, man. I love it. This is such a great, man. I'm looking forward to, like I said, even a
Let him
year
talk.
from
I'm kidding. Go
even a
ahead.
year from now, bro, year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, being able to look back on this conversation and knowing that like this was the moment that we held each other to the standard of what it meant to pursue our own version of excellence,
Yeah.
to pursue our own version of purpose, and to pursue our own version of materializing that vision. Like this is that conversation for me.
Same.
And I'm gonna be able to look back on this a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, and being like, yo, I was in a different space. It's crazy how much my life has changed. Or, yo, you know what? Some elements are still the same. I know what I need to change. You know what I mean? So at any rate, it's always gonna be like my pop said, man. You take the good, bro. You leave behind the bad. You keep moving forward.
All right. We can end on that. Love you, bro.
Hey, love you too, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Have a good night.
Hey, man, you too. Peace.